a person who has $1 million. For the most,
he's as close to broke as you can be.
Your daughters.
Yeah.
Would you want them to be happy?
No, I want them to be productive. The only thing worse than investing in a house is giving money to the bank and letting them have it. People are being told a bunch of lies. Buy a house and one day you're going to be fine. Invest in an IRA, you're going to be fine. And they said, I'm going to be fine if I just do these things. But we know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The US dollar is likely to fail. People know it, yet they save it. Get a fucking t-shirt. I am broke. And on the back, and I am hustling.
Grant Cardone.
Yeah, man.
This is crazy. So 2016 me would absolutely be losing it right now to be in a room doing an interview with you.
Yeah, well, my pleasure. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you remember Alex and Layla Hormozi?
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah, I saw
yeah.
him. The last time I saw him, actually, I was swimming. Where were we? Were we in Cabo on a boat? Yeah, we were on Cabo on a boat. Sabrina and I were on little ski-doos, and we pull up to this boat, and Alex and his wife were on the back of the boat, and they realized it's me in the water. So it was a freak.
Wow, just
Yeah.
a total
Was it
coincidence.
Cabo or France? Yeah, Cabo.
That's crazy. Because Layla was telling me that she got Alex a gift for Christmas. And she was saying he's such a difficult person to get a gift for because he could buy anything he wants. He has everything. So she's like, what doesn't
Nobody
he
has
have?
everything.
Exactly.
You know?
So she said it was 5 hours with you. And I think she said she paid like $50,000 an hour.
No, it was.
For you to consult
I think
with
he paid
him?
100,
Okay.
125 or something.
Sure.
And it wasn't 5 hours. It was maybe 40 minutes.
120 grand for
serious?
40 minutes?
Yeah.
Is that like your going rate for that?
It goes to our foundation, so it's not. It's a good cause, but it's not. He wanted to tap into what I was doing and understand, hey, what are you doing that works? And it paid off for him. I mean, I think that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So what does that work out to be a minute? That is
That's
just
where his mind goes immediately.
Yeah.
What it is per
Well, all
minute.
you need,
That's how he is.
is one minute to change your life. I mean,
Right.
really, you need one idea, and he's the kind of guy. Both of them, those guys they'll take something and turn it into something, to gold, and they did.
So what do you notice about the type of person who's going to pay $100 and something thousand for an hour? How do they come prepared for something like that? Do they ask questions?
Yeah, that's good. Number one, somebody that pays that much is either a huge fanboy, right, and a bit weird, or they're very, very serious. In the case of those guys, very serious, committed to their career, looking for some hacks. And did they come with questions? I think they did,
Okay.
We send people like a list of questions that they could consider, to get them ready. Some people actually say that, I don't do a lot of this, I do maybe 2 of these a month, but some people say that the questions and the flight over as they're coming, because they're considering now, dude, how am I going to use this 60 minutes? Even is beneficial to them because they're starting to really lock in on what is it they want to, because you don't want to spend $100 grand.
Right. But what kind of question and answer can be $100,000 worth of value? That's what I'm wondering. Because can't they do it for maybe 10% the cost, like 10 grand? Like
That's trying to negotiate
that's still,
this
you know
down,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, well, I'm not doing it for 10 grand. So
True.
That's a different audience, a different gig, a different pitch. So I'm not doing it.
So where do you think your expertise
now,
is?
I could come to you guys
Yeah.
and say, look, guys, I'll give you $100 grand. I don't care what period of time. In less than 15 minutes, tell me how to get my YouTube channel from 2.5 million followers to 4.5.
I do it for a lot less.
But
Jack would do it for free.
Yeah, I do it for free.
good. Let's do it for free then, man. Shit, that's even better.
But where do you think your expertise is?
But
when
I'll pay
someone
more
calls?
attention
Yeah.
if I pay 100.
True. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Most people just never pay attention because they don't pay.
Right.
Where do you think your expertise is? If someone's paying you that much for consulting, where is your experience in
It
that? Is
depends.
it business? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it real estate?
No, I think it's I've been blessed to learn a lot about all those. In the beginning it was a sales guy. I mean, in the very beginning it was like how to get off of drugs the first time you go to a treatment center.
Yeah.
Like the failure rate there is about 78%. I was one of those 22% that never went back, never used drug again, never relapsed. So that's something I know how to do. And that's all I do is I just share with people things that I've learned how to do. Sales, I'm an excellent salesperson. I could help any organization in the world, not just double, triple, or quadruple, but I believe 10x their sales because there's so many missed opportunities. On marketing, I've done a decent job of marketing. So the only thing I ever share with anybody is what I did that works. It's not like I'm a genius. I'm like, these things worked, these things didn't. And they never worked for us, but these things worked. And the mistakes we made in between those two, The real estate, I bought a lot of real estate, so I've never lost money in a real estate deal. But I've made mistakes in real estate. So
You learned from those.
I crowdfunded. Yeah. Well, what I did was I didn't buy enough real estate. That was the number one biggest mistake I made. I should have bought more real estate in all cycles, including this one that's going on. But like I crowdfunded. We crowdfunded $1 billion over the internet. I learned a lot by crowdfunding. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what the term was.
What I'm curious, you said that there's 78% failure rate out of those drug rehab homes. Why did you succeed when most people don't? Like, what was it?
I can't pinpoint. Like whatever other powers.
It's a characteristic trait or something that you're born with?
Well, I think what I did was when I got home, that's what I'm saying, other than God, having something to do with it, when I came home, I got rid of all my friends. I didn't go back to the places that I went to. I got rid of my girlfriend. She was still a drug addict. I went to 3 meetings every day, every single day. In the morning, at noon, and at night, I went to a meeting. I was either working on my work or I was working on helping somebody else. And I did that for 5 years, every single day.
How did you get into drugs? Where did that start?
I was
someone introduced you?
Yeah, I was 15 or 16 years, almost 16 years old, and my dad had died 6 years earlier, so I was already starting to have problems because I was drifting, and school was very slow for me. My uncles, I was hoping somebody would come and mentor me, and it's probably why I give so much time away today, except to Alex, But I did give him time, right? Yeah. I had 3 uncles, and I'm like, okay, I know those guys are going to step in and help me. They were busy. They got their own lives. And nobody stepped in. And I was 16 years old, and a drug dealer stepped in and said, hey, I'll help you. I'll give you attention. This is what you need to learn. And the next thing you know, I'll go down the drug road, man. It was nasty. So for like 9.5 years, I just went south. And didn't plan on doing that.
Yeah.
Did
it start with like one drug and then lead to like heavier stuff?
It started with weed.
So weed is a gateway drug. I 100% agree. I agree. Yeah. And people in high school, in middle school, they used to clown on it and be like, no, weed's not a gateway drug. You're not just going to go from weed to cocaine. It's like, no. It 100% is a gateway drug. You say it isn't, you will be proven dead wrong, and it's going to be sad.
Dude, alcohol is a gateway drug.
I agree.
I agree. You're around people that have drugs.
Just any mind-altering anything is a gateway to something else.
Anything that compromises your ability to make good decisions. The moment you're like, yeah, okay, maybe it's not that big a deal. I mean, it didn't matter. Like, people are like, hey, what was your drug of choice? What drug do you have? That's the drug of choice at this moment.
Yeah,
it didn't.
Did it ever concern you at that point for like health or like this could kill me?
100.
Or was it just like,
it wasn't my health, dude. It was like,
yeah.
I wasn't thinking about, okay, this is bad for my lungs or bad for my brain. I was like, I couldn't quit. Okay, literally, I started 16, and within a year, I am using some kind of drug every day. I don't know what flip switch, but it also, you walk into this new environment of people, and that's what they're doing, and I was surrounded. We talk, I know you guys talk a lot about your environment, who you hanging around, who you spend time with. And I had so much free time as a kid, different than today. I finished that event up the street. You guys, I jump in your car, I come over here. I can't get in trouble today.
Right.
Too busy. I'm too busy to get in trouble.
How were you affording the drug habit back then? Because that seems expensive. Like every day, it's what, $20 bucks?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
guessing?
what every drug addict does is they buy enough to use themselves, and then their friends get drugs. You're not using drugs by yourself. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't Whitney Houston.
So you're kind of selling them as well on the side.
You're just trading drugs back and forth to people. You nobody's really selling anything. It's just everybody's, like me coming here today. Yeah. How do you get on YouTube? How do you get on YouTube? You guys trade favors between one another until you have enough guests to have some content.
So this is kind of a dismal thought, but I feel like I want to know the answer. I hear from a lot of different people that have done drugs, extreme drugs in the past. They say the hardest part about doing drugs is not necessarily the suffering that occurs while you're taking the drug, but it's the difference of perspective and lens that you see life through for the rest of your life, knowing that the pleasure that you can get out of a drug is 10x, for lack of a better, you know what I mean? Yeah. What everything else consequentially will happen in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's not
when you're high on heroin or smack or something. I don't know what smack is, but
so my reality is it is, and no one will ever know until they go down this road. The degradation, the personal loss of self-esteem and disgust with yourself is so immense. And there's nothing like today, there's nothing attractive about getting high to me.
But like conversely, in order to put yourself through that, the pleasure had to be so immense that it was worth it still, right? Or was it some other chemical thing going on that like?
Yeah, it's a once the body starts consuming something, sugar, alcohol, drugs, the body stores this stuff, and then it says, "Hey, when are you going to feed me, man? Let's go."
That's good to know. I always thought that was kind of a
So, but I don't wake up in the morning saying, "Oh man, I'd love to have some heroin today. It'd be such a great state."
Right.
You know, like all I want to eat every day is helping people. I still want to help people. Like helping people is the greatest high in the world.
Yeah.
And then I want to defend my position with people that think I'm wrong or want to hate on me or whatever. I like that action. That's fun for me. And then I want to create success for myself and my family. So
that's a good
my
segue.
new drug of choice.
That's a good segue because we have some interesting beliefs that you've said about money that I think would make great discussions.
Yeah.
You started by saying $1 million is nothing and you should never take advice from a millionaire.
Yeah.
Could you explain your thoughts on that?
Did I offend you guys?
No,
not really. No, we don't get offended. I think it's impossible to offend us.
No, I say these things out of discovery, out of personal discovery, right?
Yeah.
So like when I was taking advice from a millionaire and for millionaires, guys that had made money. And what happens is when a guy goes from nothing and makes $1 million, something immediately changes in this cat. Most of them, not all of them, but the ones that hit millionaire status then go into conservation. And I see this a majority of the time. It is not a minority, but a majority of the time, the guy goes into conservation now that he has money. He's won something, right? He's like, okay, now what do? I got to protect the money. Now I'm going to save money. Now I'm going to get an IRA. I'm going to get a 401k. I'm going to I'm going to pay my house down. They start storing stuff. And that's not what got them the $1 million. They actually violate their own power condition.
Although before we go into that, as a business owner myself, as Graham knows, and as you probably know if you're a business owner as well, staying organized when you're trying to use a bunch of different softwares can be incredibly challenging.
But with today's sponsor, NetSuite, all you have to do is remember these three numbers: 37,000, 25, and 1. 37,000 because 37,000 companies have switched to NetSuite and stopped doing things like manual data entry and searching for scattered information by hand. 25 because NetSuite has spent 25 years helping businesses drive down their costs. And 1 because NetSuite is an all-in-one solution that allows you to manage all of your KPIs or key performance indicators with one efficient system.
NetSuite can help reduce mistakes from manual data entry, and trust me, there's always going to be mistakes when you're doing it manually, and prevent the busy work from scaling with your business.
So get a full picture of your business and help make better decisions faster. Make sure to download NetSuite's popular KPIs checklist right now for free at netsuite.com/iced.
Once again, it's netsuite.com/iced to get your free KPI checklist. Guys, it's free. There's no risk. We strongly recommend it. netsuite.com/iced. Thank you so much, NetSuite. And back to the podcast.
Couldn't you say that a person who has $1 million, for the most part,
he's as close to broke as you can be.
But they have enough to live a reasonable lifestyle.
But even so, like a 4% withdrawal rate,
$40,000 a year. But let's say, what if we turn?
He's only got 25 years before he's out of money.
What if we turn the million into?
And it's growing at 7%, you can safely withdraw 4%.
Yeah. Most of them are not invested. Most of them are sitting in garbage accounts. They don't even know what it's in.
But if you do have $1 million, right, and you allocate that in a way that does give you some form of growth.
Does he have new income?
Does he what?
Does he have new income?
Yeah, from the $1 million, you would.
Yeah, I mean, it would be
because we're assuming they have $1 million invested.
$40,000 a year to live off of. His rent's $2,500 a month. His car's $774. He's broke. And he's worried every day about going backwards.
Right, it is cutting it close. It is cutting it close.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. This millionaire concept has been around for my entire lifetime. I'm 65 years old. Mm-hmm. Okay, my entire lifetime, ever since money, millionaire was the deal.
So with inflation,
you haven't considered
$1 million today, or when the term millionaire grew in popularity, I think it was the 1920s.
Early 1900s.
And I think adjusted for inflation, that would be the equivalent today of like $17 million.
Holy
It's wild.
It's more like this. Okay.
Yeah. Explain it.
In 1958, when I was born, $1 today is worth 10 cents. So that is 10x. Mm-hmm. Okay, so $1 million in 1958, you would need $10 million today. Now you get to $10 million. Now you have a little bit of like, okay, I'm cool. Got a little bit of movement. Okay?
You think you can then go into conservation?
When is
You
conservation?
should never go into conservation.
But doesn't it make sense at a certain point?
I mean, I guess if you want to conserve, cool. But I don't that's not my game. My game is,
But let's just say for the average
freedom.
person.
And 10 million doesn't get you freedom.
What
you can't
price,
even lose your YouTube account. With 10 million.
What price? Oh, how much money do you need for freedom?
You guys can't
say?
cover COVID. You can't cover Malone. You can't cover J6.
I don't think those are our topics.
So,
I mean,
but
those
if
are
you went
those are
hard
things
at-
we don't really
If you
like.
went hard at it, your channel would be shut down.
Here's the thing: if you have $10 million
Yeah.
and your lifestyle is
Yeah.
costing you $150,000 a year,
Yeah.
you have enough where if something were to happen to the channel, you could survive comfortably and still have a little bit of a buffer on $10 million. But where's the point that you think
Now
you
you're
have
living
freedom?
off of $400,000 a year.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
But where's the point you get freedom? At what level of
Well,
wealth?
it ain't at $400,000 a year income.
Is it $1
Because
million a year in income?
You're still
Is it-
flying American. And if American don't fly, you don't fly. So you don't have freedom yet. I mean, let's just keep it real.
Yeah. So how?
Okay.
What's
if
the level?
you don't
How
like your
much?
house anymore and you got $5 million in your house and you're like, the housing market sucks and I got to sell my house for $3 million, you don't have that. You don't have that freedom to say I'm gonna lose money and move because I just don't want to be here anymore.
so you're speaking
You don't-
based off of your own standards.
No,
right?
no, I'm saying based on math, man. This is not about me. This is fucking math.
So, but name
You
a
have to
number.
keep
What's
your
the
kids
number? What's the number? How much do you need? Is it $100 million?
It depends on what kind of. It depends on what kind of class of life you want. Do you want your kids in public schools or even private schools today?
But that goes down to like a 3%, 4% withdrawal rate. So on $10 million, $400,000 a year, assuming you don't have kids,
So-
you don't really
yeah.
need
so
the child.
you're going to spend the next 25 years consuming your money, and you're going to be broke by the time you're dead.
But then what's the point
How
of
old are you?
having 33?
33. So
Yeah.
you're going to be 58 years old, and you had 10 million, and you're broke now.
Well, that's assuming I spent all of it, though.
Well, you're
But if-
spending $400,000 a year.
Yeah, but if you invest the money, a 3% withdrawal rate
Why are
should
you
last about
investing
50
it though?
years.
I thght you had enough.
Well, you have to invest it if you want the
Why?
money to last
Well,
50 years.
inflation alone will chip
of
away
course.
at it,
No,
right?
you wouldn't
You
just
guys
keep
said-
cash. You wouldn't just keep cash. We're assuming that if you have 10 million, it's not like you just keep it in cash in a safe and just
What you're
withdraw
not
it.
you're not assuming also that you have 25 years of deflation of that
True.
dollar.
That's true.
Okay, most people their investments are not even keeping up with inflation today.
That is true, but
So how many-
but most
how many-
investors I think are terrible. I think the average investor makes like 2.3% a year. The S&P returns 8.5, give or take. But the average investor is like buying and selling
only
stocks.
returns 8.5, Stephen, because they continue to rotate the winners in the S&P 500.
But that's how it works since it's weighted by market
Yeah,
cap.
well, you got 7 stocks holding up the whole thing
Correct.
right now. So
Correct.
if I'm not in those 7, or if I wasn't in it at the right point, I'm just saying most people do not see I know that is the pitch, right? That everybody earns 7 or 8%, but that's not really what's happening for people.
But let's say they earn 7% in real estate.
Okay.
Then that would be different for
But
you.
if you have $10 million, you're not heavily invested in real estate.
Why wouldn't you be? Really?
I'm just saying, how much real estate can you buy with $10 million?
$5 million property cash, let's just
Yeah,
say,
that's
paid
true.
off.
That's true.
$5 million
That's true.
or $4
it would
million.
cash
and-
flow $300,000 a year, maybe. Yeah, that's right. So he's got $300,000 coming in. It will grow. It will be there for him. He has no debt on it. That's a great plan. I love that plan.
Yeah. Do you think at your level of wealth you have complete freedom?
No,
Where is
Really?
your freedom restricted?
my freedom is restricted. If I wanted to buy a masterclass, that's probably going to go bankrupt. I'm going to have two guys there that bidding on the same company, right? And that can maybe make the deal happen faster than I can. Let's say I wanted to buy a REIT right now for this $25 billion, but I know in the future it'll be worth 100. I probably don't have the freedom to go make
Would
that
be to make
move.
more money.
No, it would be to make moves. It would be to make plays.
I guess
I
our
understand.
logic.
It would be to create. It would
I
be
understand.
to create legacy.
Okay.
You guys are talking
Yeah.
about me buying another
Yeah.
watch. I know.
Right. Okay.
I
So
bought a watch in 3 years.
so you get fulfillment and enjoyment out of movement and growth and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I
So
love
that is
that.
why
That's
you
my
continue
trip,
to pursue
right?
it,
I'm
right?
taking trips.
Whereas a lot of people, it's kind of a means to an end of like living a life, being able to afford the watch they want and stuff like that.
yeah.
But for you, that is the end.
I
right?
said earlier, man, success is my drug of choice. Like I like
That
playing
makes
the game.
sense.
I like winning, right? So it's not about I got a decent plane, so I don't need another one.
Can you walk us through the logistics? How much was the plane and how
Yeah.
much does it cost to run?
Man, he jumped pretty quick right there.
Curious. Before we go off on another topic, I want to hit on this. really
The
quick.
Gulfstream 650, it's an ER, it's extended range, so it can go from Miami to Dubai nonstop. It's a magnificent plane. And it was a 2020 2020. It was a brand new plane. I bought it actually from a guy in China, in Russia, an oligarch, right before Ukraine happened. And that plane's $70 million, and then it'll cost $3 to $3.5 million a year to run.
When you paid $70 million, you got a loan and everything, or like, what does it look like to actually go and buy
what did
a plane?
I do on that deal? I sold my 550. I sold that to Tim Draper. I think I got, what was the number I got on that plane? Anyway, we did that. Yeah. We do have a small loan on the plane. I don't exactly know what it is right now. It's city.
My understanding, those are good tax write-offs.
All of it.
Yeah.
I wrote all of it off that year. Yeah. I don't think we're in at 70 million. I think we're in at 64 million, 63 million, something like that. And then that would become a tax deduction against earned income that same year, even though I took delivery of the plane like in December. Mm-hmm. So I only had it like for 17 days, took one flight in it and wrote off $63 million. That's a great headline for your video.
Do you manage your own wealth, or do you have a team that manages it?
Yeah.
You manage it. Mm-hmm. So like that, when that...
There is no one I take financial advice from.
Is that private jet... Is that on auto pay? No. That note is on auto pay, or like?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. You said like even
there's a management company, right? There's a management company that manages a plane. So there's 2 pilots. They're full time.
Oh, so it's all that just kind of.
Yeah, there's money going to the management company. The fuel bill comes through them. I've never looked at my fuel.
You don't know what it costs.
The fuel, never.
It's just a negligible amount of money at this point.
Because no, it's not negligible. The plane's no good without fuel.
So it doesn't even matter. It is.
Would you consider the cost of these microphones when building a podcast?
I think we did. We did.
We shouldn't have. We really shouldn't have.
You're not going to have a podcast without us.
Right. Well, we could have gotten a cheaper microphone, right? But we decided to go with the industry standard, the Joe Rogan podcast, or the Joe Rogan mic.
Yeah, of course you could have gone. You could have gone with one that doesn't have this going
that
on.
little spinny thing.
I don't know why that's doing it, because it's yours.
But look, I know the cost of everything in my life. Literally, like everything. I have never ever asked for the cost of the gas, and the reason why, the fuel. The reason why is because the plane cannot fly without the fuel.
So it doesn't even matter. It's what do you call that?
It don't fly.
Inelastic good.
It's a constant. It's required. It's a facility.
Do you budget, or do you?
No.
Well, neither does Graham. Graham doesn't budget either. So it's.
But I'm just curious because
I'm
it seems like
extremely
there's
disciplined with my money. Like
that makes sense.
I live so below my means. I have 4 cars, 2 here and 2 in Malibu, or 2 in Miami. Yeah. I don't have a fleet of cars.
What cars do you have?
We have a G-Wagon. I have a G-Wagon, an Escalade in Malibu, and I have a Rolls Cullinan on a lease, a Range Rover.
How much does it cost to lease a Rolls Royce Cullinan? I feel like we're just doing trivial questions, but I'm just curious.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
But so I'm not extravagant, okay? All my stuff is paid for. I have no debt anywhere in my life. Nowhere except my cash flow producing real estate, the apartment buildings.
And the jet.
Well, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's negligible.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so yeah, I got out of a company that does probably 150 million a year every year. That's our Miami based company. We have that little bit of debt on the plane. Mm-hmm. But that plane, dude, is like, I would never give that plane up. Yeah. I'm giving my kids up.
You know what's funny? Papa John said the same thing.
They say the exact same thing.
He's like, I don't need anything except for my jet.
Yeah.
I need the private jet.
Yeah. And the guys that own yachts say, hey, I'll give up my plane, but I'm not giving up my yacht.
So it's just, there's levels to this, I guess.
There's levels to the game, man. And when you grow up the way I grew up, you don't know about the levels, so you think, I don't need that. I never thought about a plane in my life. Mm-hmm. Never had the fantasy, never had it on a list, never had it on a bucket list. I got to have a plane. But I also didn't have on a bucket list that I would own companies and I would be the boss. Never. I was forced into a boss situation. It wasn't like something some law of attraction stuff.
Yeah. But you even mentioned in terms of managing your own money, I understand that, but even the tax side of things, you're the one who does your research and figures out.
Research,
How do you learn how to do all of it? Because I feel like the tax code changes so frequently. It's like every year.
I read it, and then I call my accountant and say, hey, do this. And then he says, oh, that can't be done. I'm like, you don't understand the code, dude. Like, let's me and you get together. Don't charge me for this. I'm going to charge you $100,000. not $600 an hour, and I'm going to educate you on this damn tax code. Because the way I read that, we can do this, this, and this. And then he'll tell me, no, because of blah, blah, blah.
Do you ever deal with audits?
I've had 4 audits. I've won them all.
As you might have noticed, Grant Cardone is constantly improving on things. And when it comes to that, AI could be the most important new computer technology ever.
And just like a Nimbus cloud, it is storming every industry and literally billions of dollars are being invested.
Jack, it's cumulonimbus. That's the storm cloud.
Okay, well, just buckle up.
And bring your umbrella.
The problem is that AI needs a ton of speed and processing power, so how do you compete without the costs getting out of control?
Well, it's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud.
Like a Cirrus cloud?
No, Jack. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI.
That's great. I like this
That's
joke.
fine.
And it's good because people are learning types of clouds.
OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle.
So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds.
Like a Cirrus Cloud or like a Stratus?
Like an OCI cloud.
If you want to do more and spend less like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/iced.
That's oracle.com/iced. Once again, oracle.com/iced. Get a free test drive. Free. Okay, we all love free. Once again, oracle.com/iced. Thank you so much, Oracle. And back to the podcast.
And what's that process like? Is it
terrible?
grueling?
Worst thing,
Yeah.
particularly in California.
Yeah.
California is the worst. They're worse than the federal IRS because they're broke.
And
So
what
they're coming after you with everything.
Yeah.
do they like?
Even if you know what to do on this, even if you know what to do, that you're right, you still have to hire probably an ex-IRS litigator to defend you because they're going to bury you in paperwork. 4 years, 4 audits after I left the state of California.
Yeah. So were those residency audits of them claiming that, no, you still did business in California? Or
No,
were
it
those
was-
like you left and they're trying to...
They tried to say that I left incorrectly.
Oh, wow.
They lost that one. So the second one was, I forget what the second one was. This has been years ago. But the fourth one was you did a deal. You had some real estate in California. You did a 1031 into another deal. And when you gave your partner who had no equity a bonus, he moved to a different LLC. And when you did, it violated the 1031. Like they were looking at everything by this time. And I said, I appeal it. And they said, we knew you would. We've already denied your appeal. I said, like, you haven't even got my appeal. We're denying it before you appeal it. That's how nasty they are. Like,
That's just California. That's after you had left.
just like total communism.
How many years after you left?
Almost 7.
7 years after you left, they came after it?
4 audits. The fourth one.
The 7th year? Isn't that the maximum that they have? Is it 7 years?
Yeah, I think they have is whatever term they want. I think they could figure, because they'll tell you, look, if you don't pay this $750,000, which is what it was, if you don't pay the $750,000, we'll freeze your accounts. I'm like, freeze my accounts? My accounts are in Miami. They said, we can freeze your accounts anywhere in the world.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
Do you ever worry about never being satisfied, or you think the pursuit of that is more important?
Yeah, I'm not interested in being satisfied. It's not even
Fulfilled,
It's
though?
not a goal. I am fulfilled. I am fulfilled, but I'm not satisfied. I'm full of that little sandwich that I took 3 bites of, but I'm not. And it wasn't very satisfying.
Was it
right?
good?
No, it's some fuel for me to get through this interview, right?
Right.
And then it's like, but am I satisfied? Oh my God, that was amazing. No, it wasn't amazing. It was just fuel. And so is life. And so is what I've done up to this point. It's cool what I've done. I think I can do more than this. I was interviewing Tom Brady, and I kept saying, Tom, man, why do you like to win so much? He's like, I don't want to let anybody down. I said, Tom, come on, tell me the real thing, bro. Like, how good are those rings? He's like, no, man, I don't want to let anybody down. I'm like, come on, Tom, it's bullshit. Why do you like to win so much? Because this guy's so intense. Mm-hmm. And he says, Grant, I don't want to let anyone down. And I said, and what about you? And he's like, yeah, I don't want to let myself down. It's him. It's not his mom and his dad and it's him. He don't want to let himself down. He thinks, I said, bro, how can you let yourself down? He's like, because I know I can do more. But when he was a kid, when he was getting drafted or not drafted for the NFL, he probably thought, man, if I could just get drafted. And then he did, and then he won. And he's like, oh, if I could just get 1 ring. And then he's like, once he gets the ring. All these guys tell me the same thing, by the way. Once you get 1 ring, you want 2. And I don't think he's going to be satisfied with 7 rings. I think he's going to retire now and say, okay, what can I do that's bigger than rings?
And what about happiness? If we're changing our metric from like fulfillment, right, or satisfaction, like happiness, general happiness, you would say you're happy, or where would you say you fall on that?
I don't measure it.
You don't measure it?
Why wouldn't you measure?
Never think about it.
But okay,
I don't like have a little smiley thing on my.
Do you think it's important to measure happiness? Like, think about this. Okay, you have what, 2 daughters, correct?
Yeah, beautiful daughters. Yeah.
Okay, so your daughters.
Yeah.
Would you want them to be happy?
No, I want them to be productive, and they will be happy to the degree they're productive. Okay, if they're freeloaders in society, they will not be happy, no matter how much money you. No matter what their car looks like, their room looks like, their clothes look like. If they're not productive members contributing to society, it is impossible to be happy.
You really think so?
Do you think it's possible to be happy without being productive, or you have to be productive to be happy?
I don't know anybody that is happy without being productive.
I do agree. I think productivity is a huge indicator of happiness, or I would say a cause of happiness, right? But I don't know if it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it'd be responsibility, right? Yeah. Do you have responsibilities that you take care of every single day, akin to productivity?
Production.
Yeah. I would say it's akin to productivity.
I'm going to make my bed. That's production.
Mm-hmm.
Can you be productive though without being happy?
Yes. Can you be productive without being? No, if you're productive, you're going to be happy. Yeah. If I go mow the lawn, right, and then I do a great job, and then I put all the leaves in a bag and put them out on the curb, and they get picked up, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm happy about my work, but. That's only going to last so long because that grass is going to grow again. Right. I'm like, shit, I got to do it again.
So what would you say to someone now who's unhappy with their life and they want to change things around? What would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to quit seeking happiness and start seeking productivity and contribution and helping other people and improving the quality of life, and quit shopping for happy. And like even when we have this money conversation, like your whole comment section is going to, when we talked about 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, whatever it is, your comment section, I've seen all this. There's nothing going to surprise me. Is going to fill up with, but he's not happy. Okay, I can tell is he happy? And we're not happy is a different topic, even in your questions. Mm-hmm. Money and happiness should not even be a considered blended topic. They have nothing to do with one another. Okay, it'd be like me going to Whole Foods looking for low-fat milk in the happy counter. Like I'm looking for low-fat milk, okay? Oh, if you get that milk and eat right, doesn't mean you're going to be happy. They got nothing to do with one another. I'm not looking for money in order to be happy.
But isn't there like studies that have shown that money and happiness past a certain point, actually past it, have an inverse relationship?
Actually, there's reports out there saying rich people are happier than poor people.
So we had a good discussion with Ty Lopez on this. He said the happiest people that he's
Ty
met,
doesn't have enough money
anecdotally
to have an opinion on this.
But shots fired on Ty Lopez.
And I love Ty, by the way.
But
I don't think Ty has enough bank yet to actually have his own personal opinion. He could recite some philosopher, which he probably did.
Shots fired, Ty. No, but Ty's anecdotal stories were talking about other people that he has witnessed, people who are worth $1 billion, people who are poor. He said the happiest people that he had seen are people earning between $1 and $3 million a year.
Yeah.
They flew under the radar. They had enough to get by and have 95% of the same choices as everybody else, the same doors, same opportunities, and they were local celebrities. Where basically they weren't as he called it, they weren't kings. The kings get shot down. They're the princes, where they're too small to attack.
Yeah.
But they're getting by on 1 to 3 million.
Yeah. First of all, there's no way he could do a survey that would be accurate to even say that. That is like completely impossible for him to run some kind of calculation saying it's people between 1 and 3 million that were princes, not kings, and they lived in a local place and they were celebrities. I mean, it's impossible. So number one. Number two, like I know guys that have worth $12 billion and are not happy. And I know people that have 12 cents and they'll never be happy. And I'm just telling you, if you give me 1 or 2 of those, okay, I don't want to be unhappy and no money. And anybody who has no money can't be happy. It's impossible. Because if I have no money, I'm worried about my next meal. Okay? At that point, if I'm scared, I'm not happy. Scared people are not happy people. They're scared people.
You know what his example of that, though, was the Amish. Okay. The Amish had very little money, and he said that they're the happiest people he's ever met.
Okay, but that's not 1 to 3 million. Those are farmers, disconnected from society, disconnected from television, disconnected from social media. Of course, they're going to be happier. Right. But
So
how many of your audience is willing to be trade in whatever they're doing right now to be Amish for their happiness? I doubt very, very many.
I'd be curious to try it though.
I would try
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. How long are you going to try it?
I mean, I wouldn't abandon all my current responsibilities.
You didn't even do the yacht trip long enough. How you going to do the Amish trip, man?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, but I feel like the one thing on a yacht,
aquariums out there in farmland.
the issue with the yacht is that there was nothing to work on for me.
Yeah.
Is that anything you wanted was there? You ask them for a meal, they bring it to you.
Yeah.
So
But if you
I
were
was just kinda
churning
like
butter or
lounging.
stacking hay,
Perhaps
then
that
it
would lead to more fulfillment because I'm
Right.
like, oh, I got to work on these things today. The sun's going down. I got to get this done by this time.
That makes sense.
You're back to production.
Right.
So you say that happiness is way too arbitrary, that it doesn't even make sense to necessarily be measuring it. Measure productivity, which is actually can be measured, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I just think a lot of people are searching, wanting to be happy, thinking they're entitled to happiness, and they haven't even done anything. And why am I entitled to it? Why do, just because you live in America, you think the Hamas right now are happy, or the Gaza Strip people, the Palestinians on Gaza Strip, or the Israelis that are attacked? No, nobody over there is looking for happy. They're looking for survival right now. But here in America, we're like, man, I deserve to be happy. And I deserve my Starbucks, okay? And I deserve air conditioning. And you don't deserve any of that stuff. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, you're lucky to have air conditioning or one drink a week. But most of us take that for granted. And then pile on top of that, I deserve to be happy too.
I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah.
While I'm eating shit foods, spent 12 years in a shit education. I'm not being paid enough money. Once I get my $1 million, I don't know what to do with it. And now I'm supposed to be happy. And I don't know how to be in a relationship with another human being, but I should be happy.
I also think that there's something in like the pursuit of happiness, or pursuing anything in general will lead to you not being necessarily like content or satisfied with the results, because there, like you said, there's always like another step
I
to
agree
it.
with that. I agree with that. But I think that's fine. I think that not being content, there's these guys that I meet, and they're like, they have this, what's the word? They have this sense,
drive.
they have this
urgency?
sense of
Scarcity.
no, it's a discontent. It's a divine discontent. If God was content, he would have stopped doing a lot of things. Like if you believe in God creating everything, he could have stopped at mountains and valleys. He could have stopped at men only and not added the women. We wouldn't have freaking fish and octopus and animals under, you wouldn't have,
That hits close to home, man.
Bro,
Yeah, don't say that.
Like you go,
that's too far.
You go
That's too
underwater.
far.
You go. We haven't even discovered 90% of the life underwater, like the miracles underwater. Like, and yet people are like, I deserve a coffee, and we haven't even discovered the pursuit of the rest of the adventures of life.
I like that. I'll be a Ty Lopez real quick. And in the wise words of Viktor Frankl, happiness is not something to be pursued, but it ensues. So it follows.
I love that.
Wow. Things.
Ty gave you that?
No, that's Viktor Frankl. But I'm saying
Jack
I'm
is
Ty
learning
Lopez
from
because I'm
Ty,
just
yeah.
quoting somebody else.
You're quoting.
Yeah,
Knowledge.
speaking of mistakes that people make, one of the things that you said we really liked.
This was a direct quote.
Direct quote.
verbatim.
Okay.
Buying a home is one of the dumbest effing things a human can do with their money.
When we see that as like, that's one of the ways that people build wealth. Like a vast majority of people is when they buy their house, right?
Okay. You don't build wealth like that.
Okay, expand.
Okay. So Orange County, average home here is $800,000. Vegas is going to be $450, maybe $490. Okay. So what you're going to build? You're going to go buy a house for $500,000 in Las Vegas, $800,000 in Orange County. You're going to put 20% down.
20% down, 15, 20.
You're going to put $160,000. I'll do math on both of them. $160,000 here in Orange County, and you're going to put down $100,000 over there. That money's dead. That money could have been put in yourself. Just the down payment you could have invested in yourself, in your business. There's not a business or an individual that can't produce more revenue than a single family home sitting on 22nd Street. Okay, it just sits there. The only thing worse than investing in a house is giving money to the bank and letting them have it. Okay, the bank benefits, particularly in this environment today. Bank of America is going to charge you 8% for 10 years. Let's say you stay in that house for 10 years. You're in Vegas? Okay, you paid $500. Okay, you put a loan on it. You put 8% on $400,000. That's $32,000 a year? Times 10 is $320. That's your interest on the first 10 years. So you need to sell your house for $500 plus $320 to break even. You haven't paid property taxes, maintenance, nor have you counted the fact that your $100,000 was dead. It could have been invested in something else. I'm just saying, compared to other investments, S&P 500, okay? If you,
I think what's difficult today is that what you're saying right now makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I agree with you completely. I think right now is one of the few times, just financially speaking, I don't see the benefit of buying anything right now. The last property I bought was in 2020 because interest rates are so high. When I look at the cost of buying versus renting, renting is like half the price.
Nationwide.
It's insane. So when I look at the two, I'm like, why buy a house right now? It doesn't make any sense financially unless you plan to live there for 30 years. But as a general saying, I think for me 10 years ago, I would have said buy something. I think for a lot of people, it's a savings account. But right now, it's kind of skewed, I feel.
Yeah.
But I think for
How many
you,
people do you know have ever kept a house 30 years?
Some of the investors I used to work with. And what they would do is they'd buy a house, fix it up, move in themselves, live there 5-10 years, keep that as a rental, then move on to the next one and repeat the process. Maybe every 5-10 years, they'll buy a house. And 30 years, they have a few houses. So that's been my experience.
It's not a good investment, man. It's not. It's period. You'd be better off buying YouTube ads.
I think
you'll make more money on your YouTube channel than you will on this house appreciating. This house,
but if you look at the success and failure rates of people that will try to do something like that,
you discount the fact that there's 40 million people in America lost money on the house between 2005 and 2012.
But that's only if they sold.
Well, dude, they had to sell. They couldn't. There's still millions of homes on foreclosures. We forget all this stuff. You forget. CNBC makes sure that everybody forgets all the losses in the stock market every day. We forget about bank failures. We've had 3 major bank failures just 16 months ago. We had the biggest bank failure in the history of the United States, and everybody's forgot it like it didn't even happen.
I think a lot of that is really just bailouts, but those losses are only realized if people sell. Now, I know on paper, obviously, if you buy in 2005, you've lost a substantial amount of money in 2011. Yeah. But for those people who held, today, they're still sitting on quite a lot of profit. Right. Maybe not as much as in stocks or other investments.
It's not a good investment, though.
I think the argument is that people have to live
for the
somewhere.
Average person. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because if you look at, like I said, real data of the people that the number one wealth builder is your primary home, and then you compare that to the data that shows that, I don't know what percent it is, but I'm sure it's some exorbitant percent of business owners fail, right?
Yeah.
Then, and you compare the two, and you're like, you should always be a business owner when the data is suggesting otherwise. Wouldn't that make sense that for the average person that maybe doesn't have the discipline, that maybe doesn't have like the motivation to continue pushing with a business and perseverance?
Because they're being told a bunch of bullshit like, hey, buy a house. Buy a house and one day you're going to be fine. Invest in an IRA, you're going to be fine. Get a 401k, contribute as much as you can. You're going to be fine. One day you're going to be fine. Social Security is going to take care of you. People are being told a bunch of lies and then they lay down and say, it's going to be fine. They said, I'm going to be fine. If I just do these things, I'm going to be all right. If I buy a house, I'm going to be all right. But we know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, have less than $5,200 in a savings account. Okay, their IRA will not take care of them at retirement. Social Security is going to fail in this country. In your lifetimes, it will fail. Okay, the U.S. dollar is likely to fail. People know it, yet they save it. So the reason people don't hustle is because they've been told by the government, you guys are cool. You're in the middle class. You got a good job. You got air conditioning. You got your little latte. Okay, you deserve happiness. Okay, you got your Whole Foods account. And we might relieve your college. You got a college education, so you're better educated than most people. You got a car mortgage, like you freaking strapped up to here. You got 30% of people like failing on 33% of the American public today got a second job because they can't fund their activities. You got car delinquencies going through the roof at the all-time highs. Credit card debt, highest ever. So whatever everybody's been told ain't working for most of these people. These average people that you're talking about.
So you're saying that people should, instead of going down the more traditional route that could be more safe, but also subject to other external things, such as like the government and the stability of the dollar, you think people should go for broke? Like go for broke, meaning like, shoot for the moon, and then if you miss, you're just in outer space somewhere, right? With nothing. You'd say that is a optimal, just a fundamentally.
You could literally go for broke.
That is the better
and you would
decision.
be rewarded in this country. You could go for broke. You cannot go to jail going for broke, but you can play it safe and almost guarantee you will end up broke.
I agree that you should, that a lot of people should go for broke when they don't.
Yeah.
But with the stipulation, with the caveat that if you miss, that you continue trying and trying and trying and
100%.
And I think that's extremely important to include that. And that's why so many businesses fail, because they try, it fails, and they go to some, like, you know, a more stable thing where they're not a business owner or something like that. Or why 99% of day traders lose is because they just try it, they lose money, and they're like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to continue trying and learning.
That's a stupid business.
No, I'm just saying, like, why these fringe things are so
the
unsuccessful.
get rich quick always fails.
Exactly.
So
business owning is also, I mean, it kind of is marketed in the same way of like, hey, you're going to be able to work from your laptop and you're going to be able to drop ship and this and that and make a bunch of money in your first year. And I think that it's really important to include that caveat that, like, you're likely not going to be successful for a long time, and you just have to push through all of that. And then I agree with you. I think that a lot of people could go that route, but for the average person, if we're looking at all available data, they are better off. This is what I would say, doing that. If they don't have doing the stable thing and working as an employee of something.
Better off going to work for somebody else than themselves.
Right. And I would agree. But if they have the perseverance and motivation, then they could do the business owning route, but they just better be ready to weather the storm. You know?
Yeah, I think statistics on that, only 20% of business owners make more than a W-2 employee.
That's right.
And they work way more hours.
Yeah,
but I do think they
Mm-hmm.
could be successful. That small, people that are successful, I think it could be bigger if they just don't give up and they learn from their failures rather than like let it absorb them, and then they go to something more stable because they're so shied away from it.
But what about
last thing on the house though? Elon owns no houses. Warren Buffett has the same house he always has. The point is, they didn't try to create wealth in this fixed asset class that does not cash flow, does not provide great tax write-offs. And historically, over the last 50 years, I don't know why people get so upset with me on this house thing, because it's just not a great deal. But as opposed to, now if you're not going to do anything, if you're just going to get a job, save some money, and just be a renter for the rest of your life, and you're going to stay in the same place forever, and you know that, just make sure you're buying in a great marketplace where there's going to be positive job growth. Only about 10% of America, there's about 10 cities in America where 90% of all the people live. The rest of these places where people live are never going to go up in value.
I think we all fundamentally agree on this once we're kind of understanding the other person's position to the full extent.
And once we get through this inflation issue that's being fabricated right now, we're going to, on the other side of this is going to be massive deflation.
So that leads us perfectly. You also said, Lewis Howes, man, here we go. Inflation is a boogeyman. It isn't real.
You said that on Lewis Howes.
Yeah.
Why is inflation not real?
Because you can't really measure it, right? You can measure it at the store and say eggs are too much, but I could absolutely control that by not buying eggs. Inflation was caused by the supply chains being blocked during COVID, not because money was too cheap. If I print, and your audience is going to go bonkers on this.
We'll love this.
Okay, they're going to go bonkers. So when you print $1 trillion, we put $1 trillion in this big building right here, which I don't think it would fit. We have not created, because of printing, inflation. Now, I could be wrong on this, but this is my hypothesis. Printing money does not create inflation. Now, I distribute the trillion, because if I haven't distributed, nobody knows anything happened, right? Now, I distribute, and the three of us each get 1/3 of $1 trillion.
I would love that.
Dude, bro, what are we going to do?
You're going to buy a jet?
Yeah, I'll buy a jet.
Okay. You could buy 10 planes.
Maybe a nicer microphone if I really want to splurge, right?
Yeah, you can buy a media company. You could buy CNN now, bro. Okay, like to think just
right.
Okay, so we distribute to the three of us, but none of us spend our money. We still don't have inflation. Inflation only happens when people start using the money. Okay, now if we go invest in countries, because we got enough money now to buy countries, the entire state of Hawaii. Okay. We inflate those little markets, those little pockets, but we don't inflate the whole world. Now, when you distribute money to every idiot on the planet, okay, $1,400, and every idiot says, God damn, I got to spend this money. I deserve a house. I deserve some Gucci's. Even though it's COVID and I can't even use my Gucci's except in my living room. And if I go anyplace, I got to be 6 feet from somebody else. That's how you cause inflation. You give idiots money to go do dumb shit with, and that's what they did. People did dumb shit with money. They inflated the cost of everything. People raised their prices, and you guys kept going back and buying stuff. Because the moment the demand for anything stops, when the demand stops, prices will fall. But consumers continue to demand that they deserved great microphones.
But wouldn't it be a leading indicator, right? Like when, rates are going up, then a business that maybe sells some sort of product or service, they're like, well, people are going to have more money. I'm going to change prices maybe before the commerce actually starts coming in.
But they don't.
You're saying
most businesses, man, they're just trying to hang on.
The price follows suit after the demand. You can't change the price before the.
Well, you had to have the demand first. You don't, the price doesn't change pre-demand. You get demand, you don't trust it. Demand hits again, you don't trust it. Demand happens again. Oh, that was a fluke. It was a weekend. Boom, then it's demand, and then you're like, shit, I'm out of inventory. Okay, guys, I'm gonna send you 10 more sets of whatever, basketballs. Okay, and you have orders for 50 of them. You're like, shit, raise the price on those 10 basketballs. But most businesses lag when they actually respond to a demand curve. Okay?
But I think that inflation is sure, it's real to the people that are working the stable job, right? And then all of a sudden they see the price of eggs, it increases in the grocery store.
All you have to do is not buy the eggs.
I think it's difficult not to buy the eggs when everything else is also costing more. Let's just say gasoline. It could be your utilities cost more. Everything else in your daily life that you need, those constants are costing more.
And some people would say oil and gas and electricity could be, like my brother would tell you, all of it should be way more expensive. Because if it was, you guys wouldn't be burning all these lights in here. So all this stuff, all this electricity going on behind us is too cheap. Otherwise, they turn them off. Again, it's a demand thing. I'm willing to pay this price. Now, alongside with that, goddamn eggs are too much, beans are too much. Okay, but why do you keep complaining and keep buying? And that's what causes inflation.
So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think eventually prices are going to rise to a point where they have to come back down?
We're already there. We're already on the other side of inflation. We already see it. We see it in mortgage applications. You see it in prices of goods. Inventory is sitting in car dealerships for longer than it ever has at levels that they haven't seen. I have a bunch of friends in the car business. You're seeing houses not trade now. Mortgage applications at 28-year lows. I mean, if you want to talk about who's causing damage, is Jerome Powell raising interest rates to 8%. And stopping all that activity, all those mortgage brokers, that title clerks, escrow companies that need that money and that activity, you're making it impossible for people to buy a home today.
So how are you using this as an opportunity to make moves?
We're buying every piece of real estate that we can buy that cash flows right now with no debt.
So how have you positioned your portfolio to weather a potential storm if prices continue to drop or interest rates continue to go higher? Like for your existing loans, let's just say.
Yeah.
Are those...
We have 39 loans.
Sure.
We have 5 of those loans. 32 of the loans have 10-year mortgages. We have 5 loans that have adjustables through 20, what are we in, 23? Through 25, 2-year extensions. Those will have to be fixed. It's 15% of the entire portfolio. So, I mean, I have it charted out exactly what I'll have to fund to fix all that. It will. There's an old adage, Nathan Rothschild, I think, said, when there's blood in the street, buy, comma, even when it's your own blood. So we expect to, we have 12,000 apartments right now. We expect to double that portfolio in this cycle, maybe in the next 6 months.
Do you worry, though, about interest rates resetting at a higher amount while at the same time rents are falling? Or you believe that rents will continue to go even higher?
I think rents will flatten. I think rents flatten for the next 2 years. 24, 25, you'll have flat rents. And then in 26, because they're not going to build anything, they'll stop all building, all construction. This happened again in 2008, 9, and 10. We're 4 million homes short in America today. We're probably another 40 million homes that nobody wants because they're old homes. They're your mom's and grandma's house. Nobody wants to move into them. And in 26, 27, rents will explode in this country. The $1,900 rent that people are complaining about will be $4,000.
See, my thought is that home prices will eventually come down to a point where all of a sudden they make sense to buy again. When rents and home prices are about even and someone could say, okay, I know I'm going to be here for 8 years. Therefore, based on this trajectory, I think buying makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like the demand has to go.
Yeah, I think we take that $800,000 house in Orange County or the one in Vegas, the one you bought, that you regret now.
I actually do not regret. I think it was a fantastic.
Jack locked in a good rate.
2.874% on the mortgage, 30 years fixed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. You're going to rent that to somebody.
I'm
You're
renting
not-
it. Well,
you're not
I'm
gonna
renting
sell
out
it.
4 rooms as we speak.
Jack is cash flowing this
Dude,
place.
Let's go, man. Cash flow, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
How stupid can
He
you
gets
go?
to live there
That's
for
what
free.
I'm saying.
You
Yeah.
can go as stupid as your cash flow. That's the game, dude.
He's pretty
To have-
stupid. He's got a ping pong
Yeah,
table
ping
in the
pong
living
room.
room.
Yeah, that's awesome. That $500,000 house here or in Vegas has to go down probably to like $350,000, and the rates have to drop for him to even compete with an apartment deal down the street. And even when that happens, let's say they become equals, $2,000 and $2,000 rent or mortgage. One requires a down payment, the other one doesn't. One requires a 30-year commitment, one requires a 10-month commitment, and one of them does not have a swimming pool, does not have security, does not have a theater, and the other one, because these are the apartments that are being built today, these are freaking unbelievable communities. Theater, parking, structure, social audience, community, like built in 300 families living around you that are hopefully not crazy people. So we see a lot of people, like in Boca, we bought a deal in Boca. The average tenant in the building makes $400,000. Okay. Their rent to income ratio is under 14%. They could buy a house. All of them could buy a house, but they don't want it. They're like, I don't want a house. I don't want to mow a lawn. I don't want to clean the pool. I don't want to fix the billiards, the table tennis, whatever. I just want to do my thing, pay my rent, and be mobile, go on vacation. 75 million baby boomers in this country don't want a house. People my age aren't looking to buy a house.
You've also said
Yeah.
that if you have your last $1,000, you recommend that people spend it on personal development and some form of a course to increase, I don't know, their knowledge on a given marketable, I would say, thing.
Yeah.
Do you still stand by that? Because the way
You're already broke.
yeah, but
You're
you could
broke.
be
You're-
more broke.
You're broke. You can't get more broke than $1,000.
$999.
No, zero or 1,000, same number.
But
you're broke already.
right? But you don't want to have to, you get a pothole, you hit a pothole and you pop a tire. And
Yeah,
you don't want
you're
to have to
already
put that on
broke.
a credit card, 33%.
So you hit a pothole. You're telling me fixing your tire is more important than fixing yourself.
I just think
What's
that
the best return? You or the tire?
I mean,
You got to say yourself.
I mean,
Jack.
with the caveat.
I can
No, hold
Uber.
on a
I can
second. With the
Uber. I
caveat.
can Uber for $7. Dude, you're broke already. People
I
need to
do
understand
think-
it. This
but-
goes back to the argument you and I had earlier, okay?
But an emergency fund is something.
You ain't got an emergency fund, bro. You got $1,000 that's worth about $100. You ain't got an emergency fund. You are broke, okay? So when I did that show, Undercover Billionaire, they gave me $100. I said, I don't need the 100. They're like, oh no, it's good for the show. We're going to count it down. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, it's going to go 100, then it's going to go 82, and then it's going to 76, and then it's going to go 40. It's going to be great TV. I said, no, it's not. I'm going to take it to the bank and drop it off. And I'm going to go to zero day one because that 100 cannot save me. I don't need the 100. I don't need the 1,000. I don't need 10 grand. I would tell you, spend your last 10 grand. You're broke. Make it official. Get a fucking t-shirt. I am broke. And on the back, and I am hustling. And go get your money, man. I stay broke all the time. I never have money. I don't keep money because it's not worth anything. The only thing worth anything to me is me and my hustle and my focus and my go get it. I'm just saying, I convinced you. I sold it.
No, you sold, dude. That's funny. That's really funny you say that. Because here's the thing, when you're saying that, I'm like, I should just get rid of my house. I should just get rid of my car.
Get rid of it, Jack. Give it to me.
Because
No,
you have more hustle. You got more engine than your car.
Yeah, but it's a building process, right? So I do think to a certain
How old are you, man?
25.
25, bro. You got you will never be 25 again, bro. You got if I was 25 years old today, knowing what I know today, 40 years younger, man. Oh my God. I'd have my eyes on $10 billion.
I don't.
That's so crazy to
Okay,
hear.
here's the thing.
No,
Obviously,
you should.
You write me a check for $10 billion. I'll be happy to cash it.
You don't
the thing
know
is,
that. Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to make the sacrifices that. And look, people are going to flame me for this because we have a very hustle culture-y audience.
Yeah. Because you're selfish.
Me?
Yes.
For what?
You're like, I don't need 10 billion. I ain't talking about you. How many people could you help?
With 10 billion?
Yes.
A lot.
How much of the world could you help with
A
10
lot.
billion?
I can help a lot.
You're like, I don't need that. And you guys ought to rag on him right now for being so selfish.
No, here's the
I don't
thing.
need 10 billion. That's
Jack
not-
is built differently. Jack likes to take it easy. I've tried
I
telling
love
Jack, dude, we
playing
got to work
ping
12 hours a
pong
day,
and
12 hours a day,
pickleball,
6
playing
days a week.
basketball
I
with
want to
my
be able to
friends.
text Jack at 11 p.m. instant responses. I want that, Jack.
Bro, what
I
about
want
1,000 communities could have pickleball? 1,000 communities could have their table tennis. Like, you just think about your table tennis rather than other
I
communities.
help other people. I help other
How many-
people.
but you can't help enough people because you're down to your
Right.
last
So
grand.
you're right. You're right. And it is in my horizon that I do want
Yeah.
to help people, but I don't think that like I wouldn't honestly, maybe I'm too selfish. I don't want to get to 10 billion so I can then just help a bunch of other people. I would love to get to a few million and then help people, but I think that to like spend the time
Right.
of my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s to get to 10 billion to then like I want to still enjoy my life. And
Right.
sure, maybe I am selfish. Maybe that is the
You know
truth,
what? This
but I
goes
think
back to
that's-
the happiness
Maybe
thing.
I have some insights.
Like, I
that
think
you will
your
look back
happiness
later
comes from
on
a
and
different-
say, hey,
This would be very interesting. So when Jack and I first started working together, it was 2020. He moved into the guest house and was working all the time. I loved it because I had the same work ethic.
Yeah.
And him and I would like 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was amazing. But Jack, I think after a year, and I'm speaking for you here and you could chime in, you said you weren't happy with that.
Correct.
And that you scaled back a lot. You
Yeah.
started outsourcing your work, a lot more free time. And I was like, no, pedal to the metal. We got to keep going. And it was like, I can't do it. I'm not happy. That's
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah.
Take it.
I think that people just get happiness from different things. And for
100.
me, like I had no friends. I had
Yeah.
sacrificed my friendships, my relationships. I've sacrificed
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to go out and like sit in the sun and get some vitamin D, or I
Yeah.
wanted to go play pickleball and stuff like that. But when I was working so much, even though I was building my career, and I'm
Very
so
productive,
grateful,
yeah.
so grateful
Yeah.
because I did work hard and I'm happy I did.
Yeah.
But it was exhausting and I wouldn't want to do that for the, sure. Maybe that is out of selfishness.
No,
but I do
hey,
think,
look, hey, guys, what do I know? You know, I'm just trying to figure out the thing too. I'm just telling you what I would do differently going back and looking at later. Like, dude, I had this time between 25 and 35 that like I made so many mistakes in those years. Okay, all I did was work. That was a mistake. But the real mistake was all I did was work on the wrong shit. I was in the wrong lane. Wrong opportunities, around the wrong people. I'd cleaned up my life between 25 and 35 and started putting some money together. And when I did, I got around people that said, you don't need all this, dude. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Or, you know, bigger's not better. And then I stopped. I could have made so many moves back then that would have me in a different position later in my life that you don't know about yet.
you say people should invest in themselves, right? Rather than some form of like an ETF where you have an expected return year over year.
Yeah.
Yet you provide something where people invest for an expected return year over year. Yeah. So how is that any different than an ETF?
I'll tell you how it's different, okay? Number one, the ETF is liquid.
Okay.
And you don't want to be liquid.
Okay.
You want to be illiquid.
Why do you want to be illiquid?
Because you don't want to have an emergency, a pothole, or pothead, or both for you, that goes and gets that money, okay? That goes and gets that money. You're like, oh my God, I gotta sell my ETF. Dude, money is made over long periods of time, okay? I have never wanted to get rich quick, ever, my entire life. I'm like, I don't want to get rich quick. I want to get rich for sure. So my investment thesis is about how do I get rich for sure? Well, if I'm illiquid, which is what Wall Street offers you. My mama taught me this when I was 18 or 19 years old. If the casino offers you something, do not take it. Wall Street is a casino. Hey, we want you to be liquid, man. You can get your money anytime you want. They're not offering that to you because it's good for you. They're offering it to you because it's good for them.
I think the problem is people sell. Is that people
Exactly.
get
But if
emotional,
you were
but assuming
illiquid-
you could overcome that emotion and not panic
they
and sell.
can't, bro. They cannot.
So now we're talking about real world, right?
Huh?
So now we're talking about like
So
the
in my fund,
real results of such a
yeah,
thing.
in my fund, you are illiquid for 10 years.
But the
You
benefit
get
of being
5
illiquid
to
is
6% return with rents going up.
Mm-hmm.
Every decade since you were born and since I was born, rents have gone up in this country without missing a lick. Every 10 years, rents are going to go up 20 or 30%. Some doubled in many of those decades, okay? While my debt's being paid down, the rents are going up. He knows the real estate game. This mechanism, inflation starts hitting, fiat gets
So you're saying that you're protecting people from themselves,
I am
basically.
100%. And including myself, by the way. I don't want the money. Why? I go to zero and I go hustle money again.
Wouldn't that then go against the idea that they should become a business owner? Because essentially you're protecting them from themselves if you say you should go get a high paying job based off of a marketable skill that you have, because that works if you look at real results, right? Whereas being a business owner, you're placing a lot of faith and trust in people's ability, when your fund is the exact opposite. You're not placing faith and trust in people's ability to make the best financial decision for themselves.
No. My fund, I'm allowing people to invest in assets they could never buy. They can never buy these assets.
What about a REIT?
They cannot buy these assets. Most of the REITs do not control the assets that we have, okay? And most of the REITs in this country are in trouble right now. Can't hit their redemptions, gated all the redemptions, aren't making distributions. Don't hand select their properties. They'll buy anything and everything in almost any market with whatever the terms were, because they're churning money, okay? These are big companies with thousands of employees that are paying all these analysts little fees.
But if people followed your advice, then technically what they should be doing is putting their money and raising money from other people to do what you're doing.
Yeah, they could. And we show people how to do that. Go raise $150 million to do that deal. I welcome like anybody to do it.
I don't think they'd start at that level.
Blackstone can't do it. Blackstone can't do it. Fidelity can't do it. These are $1 trillion companies, and they can't go to everyday people because they ignored everyday people for the last 30 years. And the big banks, this is really what I'm taking on with Cardone Capital. It's not just the investment. Neither is the thesis, some of the stuff that I talk about. It is that the banks have control of the way we think. Buy a house, good for Bank of America. Fannie Mae's getting ready, we were talking about on the break. Fannie Mae's getting ready to offer 5% down on a 4-unit deal. That'll happen November 18th. It is going to, like the 4-unit product, if you live in it, you can get a 5% loan with Fannie Mae, I think for 7 or 10 years, okay? You're gonna have people just flock to that asset class. Doesn't mean it's good though. Just gonna sound good. When the government offers you anything, beware.
That's funny. I get all of these letters from Fannie Mae where it's like, ooh, you have equity in your home. Maybe you should pull out some money or refinance and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah,
who's refinancing like right now?
If they're offering me
sense.
promotions like that, chances are it's not something that's the best for me.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Like, do you think, like, why do people think banks in this country are so safe when they're not?
Well,
we've been trained to believe they're safe, okay? There's been more bank failures.
But they've been bailed
out. People have faith in the government that no matter what'll happen with the bank, the government will step in. They'll never let things go that bad. Like they're too big to fail. A lot of these banks.
They seek to, in that conversation, they seek to drop out that little piece of data that says in my lifetime, the $100,000 that I left at that bank is worth $10,000. It's safe. Yeah, it's safe to go down in value. It's not invested. If it's at the bank, it's not invested. The same bank you put your money in, as you know, calls me and says, would you like to borrow their money? They don't leave it there.
I think the point of a bank is more so just everyday expenses.
I got to have something. I got to have money
something
somewhere.
Liquid. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back to
so
liquid.
in terms of teaching people, how do you find a good mentor and what do you look for? How do you make sure that they're not like a fake guru or they're giving bad advice?
Show me what you got, bro. You build wood tables and you're going to do videos on wood tables. Okay, well, show me the wood tables that you built. Show me the factory that you have. Show me your inventory. Show me, don't tell me. I am not like, this is how I avoid getting ripped off. And one thing I've done extremely well in my life is not get ripped off of.
But don't you feel like, especially on Instagram, people flex all the time and they have all the stuff in their
100.
pictures, but like, how do you verify ownership?
Show me that plane. I saw a kid the other day. Yeah. I'm like, is that your plane? No, it's not your plane. It's a Phenom 300. I know exactly whose plane it is. It's not yours. You're in the shadow taking a video of yourself. You didn't even get permission to take the video of yourself in front of that plane or on the side of the plane. So people just should be very suspect. Like, anybody that checks me out, hey, come check out what I own. Like, do an audit on my business because I'm not worried about what you find. The FBI, the SEC, every 3-letter company group in America has all the data they need on me. So why wouldn't I tell you? Okay, I got my 7 rings.
That makes sense. I think like
that's what people should do.
Show, don't tell.
That's top of the food chain. All the Instagrammers, all the YouTubers, all the names that you've mentioned, everybody, show me.
Right.
You're a real estate expert. Show me the real estate you bought. Okay, you're a Bitcoin guy. This is where the Bitcoin community goes nuts. I'm listening to a Bitcoin guy the other night in X Spaces and BT. I said, how much Bitcoin you got, bro? I can't tell you that. I said, then shut the fuck up.
It's all like when the NFTs were popularized, everyone's like, I'm an NFT expert, an AI expert. As soon as ChatGPT comes out, everyone's like, I'm an AI
within a
expert.
week, someone said.
And then you're like,
show me the book you wrote.
Right.
Not the fucking paragraph, not the 3 questions you asked.
I would say that's a good way to filter through.
Dude, just show me, because the moment most people are going to do this, why do you need all this? Why do you have to have all this data? Particularly the mentor community. So the problem is with the people that want help can become targets, and be taken advantage of. I need help. Everybody does, by the way. I needed help when I was 16 years old and a drug dealer got a hold of me. I'll help you, bro. And took me down a nasty road. So that was my first experience with mentors. Right now it's like, okay, I need to pick people that I want to be like. Oh, the guy's rich. Okay, good. What's his family life look like? What does he look like as a father? What does he look like? Even the books I read. Before I go buy somebody's book and read their shit, I'm like, hey, who are they? Oh, he committed suicide when he was, 57. I'm like, I ain't reading this shit.
You don't think there's something you could learn from that person?
I don't care. I don't want to learn from that guy.
What about you learn what not to do? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can.
Bro, I already learned it. Motherfucker killed himself.
But see,
okay?
I feel like
I want to study a cat that freaking tapped out. All I know is whatever he was doing, he was so fucking miserable with himself that he killed himself. I got the whole world trying to kill me.
But I think there are such talented, great minds out there.
I ain't reading his shit. There's a lot of other
but have been
books,
suffering from severe mental illness or depression. But their thoughts are genius, brilliant.
Okay.
Couldn't you learn bits and pieces
from
that person and exclude, push out?
No, I want to go read. I'm going to go find the guy that didn't terminate.
Even if that person's knowledge was subpar.
What's the name? Guy's name that had the hit TV show?
Who's this?
Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah.
I ain't studying shit he did. Okay, what's the comedian's name that tapped out?
Oh, Robin Williams.
Fuck him. I ain't studying none of his shit. Because it didn't work.
But if you want to be a comedian and you want to, you know what I mean?
No, I'm going to study Kevin Hart. I'm going to study Kevin Hart.
Here's
I'm
the
going to
thing.
study Dave Chappelle.
But there could be aspects of their life that work so well, and then other aspects that just don't. And you could study the aspects that work well for them.
If I'm studying his comedy, his pace, his way to write a joke, yeah, cool. But I'm not going to study him as he's my mentor for life. That's what I'm saying.
See, I tend to think that in everybody you could find bits and pieces that you agree with, that you resonate with.
I ain't got that much time. I want to read about the winners, man.
But you don't think that they won in certain aspects?
But what if I can't read every book written? I can't study. I can't have that many mentors.
But then they could be great at,
But
they could still, yeah.
I'm gonna study a great YouTuber. Do I study you or Mr. Beast?
I would say Mr. Beast.
Thank
Absolutely.
You. We agree on that completely.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to study both of you. I'm going to study him, and I'm going to go hard on that one guy. And I'm not going to take your input.
Hypothetically, Mr. Beast unalives himself a year from now. Would that mean that everything you learned from Mr. Beast doesn't apply anymore, and then you go study me?
I wasn't studying him about life. I wasn't getting father advice from him. I'm saying if I'm going to get the father advice, I need to see the kids and how they're doing. Right now, I would take YouTube advice from him because I'm like, fucking his YouTube channel rocks, okay? And if I have a choice between his channel and your channel, I'm taking his channel. And I'm not going to study two people. I'm going hard with one guy, okay? Now, before I take his advice on how to be fit, I ain't going to do it. I can see the way he's not fit. Like, that's not my fit advice, right? I'm going to go to somebody that can.
What is something you need help with?
Dude, I need help with a million things.
Like what?
Okay? I got 99 problems. Well, I mean, we're scaling a bunch of businesses out right now. Like, where do you want to go here?
I think personally would be really interesting, just for yourself, whether that be health,
I mean,
fitness,
I get a lot of help personally. So I'm not asking you guys for personal help because I go to my church for that.
Yeah.
So anytime I have, like, spiritually, I'm a little lost or confused or I'm making poor decisions, I know exactly where to go. I'm gonna route myself to my church, spend a week there, 2 weeks there, get it all routed out, come back out and attack the world.
How did you get involved in the church? Where did you find that outlet?
I read the book Dianetics. Somebody gave it to me when I was 25 years old. I was just out of treatment center. It helped me understand why I had turned to drugs. It was phenomenal.
Could you explain?
Well, it's in the book.
Could you explain? Because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn about it, it's in the book. But basically, the book Dianetics is about a reactive mind. It's about a mind that reacts rather than being analytical. So for me, I want to be more analytical than reactive. Mm-hmm. Even though I am quite, I tend to be a bit, I can be reactive, right? I don't mind fighting. I don't mind, getting angry. I don't mind pushing back, but I don't want to do that most of the time. Most of the time, I just want to be analytical. Hey, I have this much time. I can do this. I want to calculate. Everything's a calculation. The more analytical a person could be, the better decisions they're going to make.
Yeah.
The more reactive. Oh, this feels good. Let's do this. Let's sleep together. You end up with herpes like that, right? You're emotional. You know, oh, let's have a drink. The drink leads to the weed. The weed leads to the weed. That's emotional decision making, right? So this book is about the reactive mind and how the mind operates reactively. It responds and reacts, not in a good way.
So it's like stoicism.
I don't know what stoicism is.
It's similar to that. Like the fundamental belief of stoicism is like,
okay, I burnt my finger once, and now I think all fire is unsafe. This is what I'm talking about. Reactive. A equals A. That happened. I can't ever do it again. Okay, somebody ripped me off. I'm never going to do business again. I hired somebody and they quit or they betrayed me. I'm never hiring another person. I went out with this girl. She's a blonde, and now I can't trust all blondes or freaks.
That makes sense.
That's reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, stoicism is.
It
definitely,
sounds similar because stoicism. The whole idea is that you insert a gap between your reaction and your response.
Oh no, definitely not. Analytical is 1 + 1 = 2.
Okay.
I can trust that answer. Okay, you're off into some other Buddha. Okay.
Let's hear it. Keep going.
So anyway, when I read this book, I'm like, dude, this explains why I had a drug addiction. Now the people at the Narcotics Anonymous in the rehab were telling me I had an addiction, that I had a disease, and that I was always going to be powerless. And this book's like, no, bro. Okay. And so that book helped me a lot. Now I wouldn't start actually studying Scientology for another 20 years. And I've been studying it now for 21 years. It's been phenomenal for my personal life. And that's all I want to say about it. I don't promote the church. I don't work for the church.
But there does seem to be this correlation overall that there are some very successful people who are into Scientology.
More than you know, my friend.
Why is
more
that?
than you know? It's not just Tom and John and Grant.
Yeah. Have you ever met Tom Cruise?
Yes, I have.
Really?
At a Scientology event?
I've met him outside that. Actually, first time I met him was at the Burbank airport.
Did you connect with him over Scientology?
No, I connect. He knew who I was.
Really?
Yeah.
But you don't talk to him about...
I was with, who was I with the other day? I was with the mayor, not the mayor, the governor, what's his name, Newsom. I was at the Beverly Hills at a Michael Milken event. I'm sitting in this chair right here. Newsom's sitting right where Sabrina is. He moves, comes and sits right next to me and says, bro, nobody works harder than you do. He's like, I cannot get away from you on Instagram.
Newsom said this?
Yeah.
And then he throws you an audit, like right after.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, by the way.
Yeah. I said, bro, I don't, because I'm not a fan, right? But I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, how do you like handle an entire state, man? People every day coming up with bad ideas, telling you do this, do that. Like, I got respect for a guy that can do that. But the fact that Tom knows me or he knows me or Chappelle, or it's because I've been on social, man. I use the social platforms to get attention. These guys are not going to hit the follow button, just so you know.
Yeah.
Some of your best audience will never hit follow and will never comment. But they're watching.
But in terms of Scientology, why does it seem like so many people are successful within that religion?
Maybe the technology there works.
What is it? What technology? Like what is it?
You should grab a book, dude. Anything you want, like communication skills. It teaches you how to communicate, teaches you how to raise children, teaches you how to have a marriage. It teaches you how to have conditions in life and go from average, that word you use multiple times, and normal to like, okay, I want to create power in my life or affluence. It allows you, there's courses there about how to pick people, how to ask good questions to be sure people, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever been a liability in your life. I know I have. And I know other people in my life that were friends and assets that became liabilities. How can you spot those people?
Yeah.
Right? They're courses. This is not a religion where you pray to a God.
Right.
This is not where there's a dogma and you go to church on Sundays, hit a knee, and sign of the cross or whatever. I think all religions are valuable in part and personally. But this particular religion teaches somebody practically how to make their life better through knowing how life responds to the decisions that you make.
That makes so. That's why it's called Scientology.
Yeah,
probably.
It means knowing how to know.
Thank you.
Scientology means knowing how to know. How do I know?
So why is there such a negative connotation amongst the general public?
Have you ever studied religions?
No, not really.
Yeah, there's a negative connotation on every religion since the beginning.
I agree, but I think that they're to varying degrees.
No, they're all, bro. You got two people over there fighting in the desert right now over a religion. Mm-hmm. They killed Jesus Christ. Like, this is not a new thing. Okay, new ideas are resisted First they're resisted, then they're criticized, then they're adopted, and then later they're like, hey, that's the thing we should do.
So you think because it's a new idea, it's just being met with resistance, such as all other new ideas?
100%. And it also, these new ideas and this technology replaces some of the offerings being made to society today, like drugs. Mm-hmm. So like,
yeah. What are some of the teachings when it comes to picking a person, being a good father, being a good role model? Like, what are some of the
fundamental
beliefs on that?
You mean my beliefs?
Well, the beliefs that you would learn from
you would
the
subscribe
church.
to from Scientology.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if another Scientologist would agree with this. Like, it's not, I'm not adopting their beliefs. I have my own beliefs. So it's a discovery of self or what's right for me. Like, if you've ever met
Is that
my
a
kids,
virtue of Scientology? Is to figure out what's
it's certainly helped me. It's like what I said, it's helped me in life be a better father, for sure, be a better parent. But that's not because I read something and said, oh, that's what I ascribe to. I get, I analytically get to choose why would I want my kids out of the school system? Okay. And then say, oh shit, that's going to be hard to do, man. I got to homeschool. Oh my God. The responsibility is enormous.
Right.
So no, dude, I want them out of the school system because I don't want them in the school system with teachers that are unhappy, with principals that are unhappy, with the other kids that are unhappy, and with the parents of the other kids that are unhappy.
Okay, so I think I understand. So Scientology doesn't necessarily show you exactly how to navigate a given circumstance. It just instills that idea or value that you should always fall back on your thinking or analytical brain to then make decisions in the future. Not necessarily like, this is how you become a good communicator, follow these things.
Well, there are some courses that could actually teach you what communication means.
Okay.
Most people don't think communication is just
But other more subjective things like being a good, father or teacher or something like that. Like, it's more so just like study based off of your own experiences and then act accordingly, and don't be resistant towards maybe some critiques and stuff like that.
I mean, look, it's a massive volume of information. You're not going to get it in this podcast. And I'm not the guy to get it from. Look, I'm just a parishioner. I'm just a guy that's benefited from it. Every area of my life is better because of it. That's all I know. So anybody that's interested in it ought to go grab a book. There's a book called Problems of Work. Phenomenal book on happiness and work and productivity. How to be more productive as a human being. There's communication courses. Most of these courses are free online. You can literally go do an online course for free on how to have a relationship, which most people suck at.
Yeah. How do you have a relationship?
Well,
it seems like you have a great family.
Yeah.
Your daughter seems like quite the ride or die.
She's fantastic. She rolls with me a lot of places. And they've been homeschooled for, we took them out of the system for about 6 years ago, right?
Walk us through that decision 6 years ago to remove both of your children.
Elena's a phenomenal partner, and we went to her school, Miami Country Day, and it was $26,000 a kid. Okay, they're good. That's what we're thinking. We go over there one day, and I'm like, this isn't good.
What about it?
The other kids.
What was wrong with the kids?
Fucking everything. They're not what I want my kids to be.
Like, what were they doing?
They look scared. They look, like what they're learning. I'm like, where's the confidence in these kids, man? Where's the freaking happiness? Where's the running and what are they learning? Let me see the books they're learning from. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I didn't want to do it when I went to school. Did you guys like school?
No.
Did you like it?
Not the education part, not necessarily.
I'm like, I'm not doing this to these kids. This is ridiculous. Why do we keep doing this thing when we know it's not getting good products? So we pulled them out of the school system. Elaine and I decided, okay, we're going to be responsible for their education. We're going to get a nanny. We're going to get somebody to help and support them. And I know a lot of people can't afford to do all that. But I couldn't afford personally. It cost me a lot to do this because we have to put attention. We have to kind of redo our lives. It's easier just to drop them off someplace. I'm not talking about money right now. And immediately, man, within 2 weeks, we saw a change in them. They were happier. We were able to spend more time with them. It was really for us to spend more time. We were traveling.
Yeah.
The school system told me I couldn't take the kids out for 3 weeks to go on we were going to do a 19 country tour, and they couldn't leave, otherwise they would fail. I'm like, I ain't doing this yet. I want control of my kids. And they got better.
Who's educating your daughters?
How does it work, Sabrina?
She could hop in if you're comfortable.
Yeah,
with
jump
it.
in, blood.
Yeah.
Jump in, little blood.
We could always pull up another chair, actually.
Yeah.
You want to pull up a chair? Here.
Yeah. Let me get you a chair. Hold on.
Okay, so we're homeschooled through an online program, and with this online program, I get a different course each year. And within that course, there's subdivisions, math, English, biology, et cetera, et cetera. And with that program, you have all the lessons, all the books, everything you need to know, everything you need to complete to finish the grade. Okay, so I go through that, and every year I finish each course. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I finish each course usually way ahead of normal school. So last year I finished 9th grade in 5 months.
But who's educating you?
I'm kind of educating myself. The program is educating me. Like,
Do you have a teacher?
I have a tutor. So with the tutor, we do calls, and he kind of like helps me if there's anything I'm struggling with, anything I don't quite understand. So he helps me get caught up. But with the program, it has like videos, the same way you would learn from a teacher. It teaches you what it is in very simple terms.
How many hours do you think you do a week?
Maybe 10.
10 hours.
Okay, so I agree.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like actual learning. You don't need more than that. Yeah.
Right. I do think that people need to learn from videos more than they do from teachers.
I learn more from YouTube.
Everyone learns at
personally.
different speeds.
I'm curious, is there anything you miss from school? Like friends? Like your dad was saying you didn't like the people that were with you at school.
She didn't like them.
Yeah. Okay.
I never liked any of my peers when I went to school.
Okay.
I didn't.
You didn't like them at all?
No, I hated them.
What
all.
did you hate about them? Was it? Sorry.
I didn't say that.
What?
I didn't say
She did. That's why. I'm sorry. Her words, not mine, man.
I didn't hate them. I didn't hate them. Not to be dramatic. I didn't connect to them. I've never connected with people my age. I've never felt like they really understood me. I've never formed close relationships with anyone really my age. All my close friends are a good 2 or 3 years older than me.
Do you think that's because you've traveled so much with your dad and you've seen what he's done and been around him enough that it kind of makes you grow up faster?
Maybe, but I would say like today my dad's my best friend, my dad and my mom. Like I have a fantastic relationship with my parents. Like I feel like I can come to them for like anything. I'm not just saying that, like genuinely.
Gas him up, man.
No, like genuinely. And I've done stuff more recently, like I've done summer courses and all this stuff to like try to see like, do I like the environment with other kids? I've just never connected to it. It's never really been my...
You don't have any interests that are like, I would say like more normal or average. Sorry to use
like
that
running.
famous word again.
Every time you say
I'm just,
you're going to be that guy.
I know, I'm just curious because like,
Favorite
when I
word,
was
man.
14, I had different interests than I have right now. Well,
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, I do like I do sports. Like I do running. I've done a variety of different running programs. Like that's a fun way to talk to. Oh, I did rowing once. Yeah, that was fun.
Nice.
Horseback riding.
I did horseback riding
Yeah.
for a time. Yeah, I'm pretty good. So I've
She's
connected.
great at real estate, by the way.
I am great
She
at real
can underwrite
estate.
a
It's a
deal.
very fun hobby of mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Write a deal in a second.
So, I have like some different interests, but that I like to take up in my free time. But it's more for me. It's just I like producing. Like I genuinely do like producing things. I like running. Okay, can we PR this 5K today? So.
Okay, so I asked her that because remember how earlier in the conversation I asked, what do you want out of your daughter? Do you want happiness? And you said, no, you want productivity.
Yeah.
And I asked her that, I'm like, well, as a daughter, you know what I mean? Like if someone asked my dad, what do you want out of your son? And he was like, productivity. And he didn't, well, sorry, not to, but he said like, not happiness. I would be like, oh, like part of me would kind of, I would say hurt for that.
The problem with, not the way I was raised, because we didn't have any money, but with the way she's raised, there's money. She never wants for anything. Everything's handled, right? So now the problem with that is she grows up in an environment where, first of all, other kids are going to later accuse her of her being a rich kid. And number two, that she could naturally take for granted, oh, I have a jet. Well, no, she doesn't have a jet. I have a jet. She gets to ride on my jet, okay? She could take that for granted. I mean, that would be easy to happen. So that's why I'm telling you, when she leaves this thing and all of a sudden hits the world and she can't do anything, that's a problem. It'd be a problem for her, right? So what I want to do is the homeschooling should get her out of the school system so that she can start being more productive in the real world and having experiences like this one right here.
Yeah.
There's no reason all kids should not be able to do what she is doing at 14 years old on that mic right now.
Do you worry that maybe not having some of those experiences that you went through might mean that there are some situations that you're less prepared for? I'm not saying like drugs or anything like that, but I'm saying that having nothing, like absolutely nothing, and having to work your way up from that.
Fair. It's a fair. Yeah. So, but what do? I shove her out there and say, hey, go learn it this way. If my dad had not died, my brother and I were talking about this the other day, I don't think I would be who I am today. Him not being there, I'm not talking about all the bad years. I'm not talking about the drug addiction. That didn't make me who I am. Going down 10 years, wasting all that 10 years, that did not make me who I am. But not having a dad and watching my mom struggle started making me make decisions like this whole home thing. Probably why I don't think a home is a good deal. It's because I saw my mom having to sell the house as soon as he died because she could no longer maintain it. So, dude, I just want to give her the, quick start in the world that she can like at least communicate to you.
What about the bar?
Twice her age.
What about the bar being set so high? Like, do you ever look at your dad and think, how do I live up to that or exceed that expectation?
I mean, that's definitely there. Like, I don't want to, I would feel so ashamed of myself if I did not, if I didn't do anything, I had this opportunity, I could have done something. And if I like at the end of my life didn't do anything, I will feel so ashamed of myself. And, maybe that's not a good thing, but I think that it is, because it's going to force me, in my life to do something.
But who's deciding what anything is? Is that you, or is that your
100%.
father, or is that society?
Have I ever told you what to do?
No.
So what if, but it seems like your anything is very similar to his anything, right?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, he's a role model for me. He's a role model for me,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
He's an influence.
That makes sense.
To me.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's 3.
What is going on?
You got to keep going.
like, of course, my
Right.
ideas of what my future should look like is going to be reflected in him. Of course, obviously. I mean, he's my main, where I get what I learn.
How about this? Where are your differences? Because I'm sure you have a lot of similarities, but where do you not see eye to eye with your dad?
Some of his ideas,
Here we go.
All of them. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And I'll talk to him about it. Sometimes we'll have these little debates in the car. He thinks I'm arguing sometimes. He's like, Sabrina, why do you keep arguing with me? I'm like, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
We don't always see eye to eye on everything, but we're
Like, give him something.
Yeah. We want some examples.
What would be an example?
You get a free pass right now. You can say anything you want to.
I'll give you an example. Like I hit people really hard. Like when somebody comes at me, dude, I hit back like that reporter video.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, including my wife, my COO, Jared, the president of the company, like, man, don't do that video. Everybody.
For context, explain real quick.
I took this guy online, called him out. You were talking about it, and I don't know if that helps you or hurts you. That's their whole conversation about whether you even defend yourself. So I get a lot of that. She hears me hit people, so I don't know, that might have been too much. I mean, I let that piece of paper go out the window the other day.
Oh
my God,
he littered. He littered.
Oh, that's a big no-no.
Yeah,
that is
I don't like that. I don't like
huge
that at all.
no-no.
And it wasn't a big deal for me. I'm like, dude.
What do you mean? So what was the situation?
It was a piece of paper.
It was a straw.
Yeah.
Oh, a straw. Those are the one thing I give
It
up.
was a paper straw, bro.
No.
Oh,
it
paper
was
straw.
wrapping.
Paper straws could be okay.
It was the wrapping of a straw.
Oh, yeah, no.
Which is plastic.
That's plastic.
It was
That's
plastic,
bad.
and I was very disappointed. I could not believe that he threw that out the window.
I didn't throw it.
He threw it.
What happened?
The wind pulled it off my finger.
But did you have it out and then? Yeah.
He did,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So but that is one thing. Like sometimes he's a little. I'm just like, man, why'd you have to be so aggressive with that person? But hey, look, it gets the job done. So.
Is there anything that you've wanted to do that you've said no, you can't do that?
A few
Some
things.
things like going out in public, like without.
Okay,
This is a big issue.
It's a big issue for
It is
us.
a big issue.
So I like running, right? Like how I told you. He doesn't want me to run by myself. He wants
I
me to
kind of
take
would
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
100%. Like I honestly do agree. And I even got them to a point where I convinced them to let me go by myself and not have someone following me, because it's kind of embarrassing to have somebody follow you while you run. what if you want to stop? You can't stop. You have somebody.
Right. They're going to judge you.
Oh, I didn't know about that part.
Like,
They've got a timer. They're like, oh, you didn't make your time.
I'm like, guys, please.
Yeah.
I even got them to that point, but then this young girl came to my house and she was like, I saw you on your runs. Let's become friends. And I was like, okay.
Who saw you? Just a random
girl. She's like, I've seen you out on runs. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we should go back.
I understand. I get.
Yeah.
I agree with you
where
on
that's
that.
coming
I get
from.
it. I
Yeah, I
get
take
it.
your.
No, I do. That's the part that makes it so hard for me. I agree with him, but I don't like it.
Would you say he's overprotective as a father, or you think the right amount?
You know, the daughter in me wants to say he's overprotective, but the person in me wants to say he's the right amount. You know, like the analytical human being wants to say that he's the right amount of overprotective.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're actually, both my parents are pretty like relaxed. You'd be surprised.
Really?
Like, they let me like hang out with my friends. They like me, like I have social media and stuff. Like, I know people who don't have social media.
Do you regulate her social media at all? Really?
No, we the one thing we had, it was younger. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I went to her and I said, her mom actually came to me and said, I think there's a problem with the social. I'm the better person to tell her than her mom is. It's easier. It's a different flow, different kind of vibe, right? So there's always one parent that can, do something. Elena can do better at certain things, and we just got to know our little spots.
Yeah.
And so I went to her and I'm like, hey, I want to look at the channels you have, the apps you have, okay? And I want you to tell me, you must have been 8 or 9 at the time.
Yeah.
Tell me which one of these are good for you. She started looking. This one, maybe not. I said, okay. How do you feel about YouTube? Oh no, that Stephen Graham's been popping up. That guy's definitely suspect. Okay, that guy. I don't know about YouTube anymore because of him. Okay, and she'd see TikTok. Oh, that one's definitely bad. That one. And then I'm like, okay, what do you want to do with them? Next thing you know, she's like, I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna delete YouTube because of Graham. And I never want to see his face again.
That's fair.
And Instagram, I'm gonna keep that. I think I can keep that open. But it was up to her, not me.
Yeah.
And if I did that the way I grew up, dude, it'd be like, give me your phone.
Right.
I would take the phone and I would decide everything for them rather than giving them at 8, 6, 7, 8 years old. Hey, you can decide.
Yeah. But do you worry about getting like waves of hate or criticism directed at like, if I couldn't handle that at 14?
Yeah.
And like you're coming into this,
You might not be able to
huge
handle what she's
audience.
doing right now at
That's
14.
probably true.
So.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think how that would affect me at that age versus now, where it's been like a very slow build up, and you kind of build that tolerance.
You
to
haven't
it.
even been hit with the hate yet.
Right.
Bro. Okay. I remember the TC that you talked about earlier. My wife and I met with him, and he says, and Elena's like, Grant's getting so much heat online, and he just cracks up laughing. Just laughing. He's like, excuse me? I mean, this guy has taken on as much hate as a human being can take online. So it's like, you're going to get it. It's going to all come at one time. Something's going to happen. People are going to turn on you. Yeah. It'll happen.
How do you internalize that at your age, not to take it personally and to just expect that, hey, some people are going to say things?
Some of it used to make me like a little bit upset, but never when it was about me, like ever. Because like I've seen stuff like people have said like things like about how I look. I'm like, stupid. It's like, just shut up. Like, it doesn't even matter. I'm 14.
Sure.
Like, the fact that you're commenting on a 14-year-old appearance is weird.
Okay, that's a mature stance.
So, whenever it actually made me upset was like when it was about my dad. But then I started seeing the most ridiculous, far off stuff. And I was like, okay, if this is lies, then all of it must be lies.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding prenups because your wife didn't want one, correct?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I remember I saw her speak somewhere, and she went on this whole spiel about you wanted a prenup.
Yeah.
And she says, nope, I'm not getting a prenup. We're not getting married. The only way we're getting married, no prenup. Mm-hmm. And then you said, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Why did you agree at that time for no prenup? You wanted one initially.
Yeah, look, I mean, we'll play this out. I'll find out whether this was the right thing to do or not. But I don't think that's a problem, right? The issue is not the prenup. The issue is, how am I going to live with another human being every day? How am I going to get along? How am I going to create? How do I create when you're new in the marriage at 40? How do you create when you're 50? How do you create when you're 60? How do you create in the later, supposedly the golden years, to make them golden? A lot of things in my life are still to be played out, and that could be one of them. That could be one of the most expensive decisions I ever made in my life.
What would you say to your daughter? Let's just assume
She
you're
will
getting
definitely
married.
get a prenup.
That's what I was about to say.
1,000.
But what if
I will have him killed.
But it's the love of her life, and he says, "I don't want a prenup. I'm not getting married."
I would tell her she will absolutely get a prenup, 1,000%. Or she will never get access to my whatever my little bucket is.
How is your wife different in that scenario with you and her?
I don't know, and I don't want to turn this into to a troll kind of clickbait thing, but as much as you'll be tempted to. But I think we would both look at it different today. We never dreamed we would be where we're at right now. There's $4 or $5 billion worth of real estate. There's the 11 companies that are probably worth $3 or $4 billion. I never thought ever in my lifetime we would be where we're at. But we are, and she has participated, despite the fact that she's not in the office doing X, Y, and Z, and I am. She has participated in many ways beyond what I would have ever asked a wife to do for me. She has been a phenomenal partner for me, and I hope this is never used in a court of law against me. But I mean, in a deposition, I would have to say, yeah, dude, she participated.
Yeah.
Now I would not. Just for that.
Go ahead.
Let's say there was a divorce, okay?
Right.
And she's like, I want half. I'm like, dude, that's not fair.
Right. She didn't participate 50-50.
You did unbelievable. I don't even know how to measure what she's done. The support. Never yet nagging on me. Never, not one time in 20 years saying, oh, you work too hard. Never, not one time. No, like rare arguments about anything. Like she's been a phenomenal partner. Childbirth, these two guys, without drugs, at home, without us bringing them to a hospital. She's a fucking warrior, man. Okay? So all that being said, it still ain't worth half. I just wanted that for the deposition.
How do you balance running a business and having such a happy marriage?
It's hard, man. That's a very difficult thing to do. It's very difficult. I'm in the war every day, right? To me, every day is a battle. I'm not coasting.
Yeah.
I'm not a coaster here. I'm uphill most of the time. Most of my days are 4s on a scale to 10. Today would probably be like a 3 since I spent so much time with you guys, but especially this guy. But rarely do I have an 8 or a 9 day. So I'm going home most of the time beat up, hammered, didn't get what I wanted, lost. And then I got to be somebody else when I get home, and I'm not great at that, right? Because I'm still dragging that with me. So it's a bit of a lot of communication.
Yeah. What's your advice to me? I'm getting married next year.
Yeah, just get an agreement. Not just the prenup's not the important thing. I guess it could be, but more importantly, what I would say is make sure that person is ready to go on the same ride you want to go on, and that your ride might actually be bigger than you even know today. If the past 33 years of your life is anything like the next 33 is like the last 33, you've underestimated everything you would do and did not predict most of the great things that you would do, including what we're doing today.
Sure.
Even 6 years ago, you didn't think we'd be doing this.
Definitely.
Now we're doing
it.
it. So when you were 6 years old, you never imagined you'd be in a room with all this gear. So you have underestimated. You've actually mispredicted all the things, all your potential. You'll do the same thing. You'll look up later and say, God damn, dude, I had no idea I had this much potential. Much like a little kid does when he's riding a bike for the first time.
Yeah.
He can never imagine that he's going to be, popping wheelies or riding a motorcycle one day because he's so overwhelmed by this one piece of machinery. So that's what I would do. Just make sure she's on the same page for the whole ride, bro.
Sure.
And that's what I got from Elena. I said, look, I'll give you anything except one thing. I will not ever compromise my dreams. And I like to work. I like to produce. Don't ever ask me not to. This is the thing I want to do. And she never has. And don't spend a bunch of money on your wedding.
Yeah, no, we're not spending that much.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be all in under 15 grand.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All in.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You
Probably going to turn to 20, but
Yeah, maybe 25. Are you bringing him?
yeah, he's officiating.
Oh yeah. What does that mean?
I get to like,
You read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
said, and then we say I do.
Oh, cool.
To
You're a
Jack.
minister?
just apply online, $20. Take me.
Anybody
a couple
could do
hours.
You're an online minister.
It's easy.
It's
yeah,
pretty
it's easy.
Yeah. Where
simple.
are you going to do the wedding?
We're between two places. One is a winery that we
Okay,
picked out,
yeah,
and another is a friend's house.
Okay.
And so the house would be a lot easier. It's a really nice place. And
Yeah.
we could have it basically the whole weekend. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
simple. But
Yeah.
the winery looks a little nicer for photos.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're fearful of when it comes to your daughter? In terms of like just both
sure, dude,
growing
she's-
up or entering the real world or
Yeah, a lot of things, man. I worry about her and Scarlett more than anything. You know, they're liabilities for me, right? Because I worry about somebody taking them. You know, I remember watching people get really successful and then they had to have security around them. I'm like, dude, that's got to be terrible. And then one day, I'm like, oh, I got to have security. You know, not for me. Like me, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about her. So that concerns me. Two is the world out there, dude. It's like she went to, what was that school you went to?
I went to Oxford for a summer camp.
Yeah, you think it's going to be a great school, right? She's calling me the first day saying, hey, these people are crazy.
what was wrong with it?
There was this one guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Burn it to the
weed, vape, all that kind of stuff was, all the kids were like just having it. Like it was 2 weeks, okay? People were like doing stuff with each other, like sneaking out and like going to each other's rooms.
Oxford as in like Oxford College?
Oxford College.
How old were the people there?
Yeah, so everyone's old, right?
13 to 16.
Oh, 13 to 16. Oh, wow. Okay.
It was insane. It was
Sure.
insane. It was not the experience that I wanted. It was not the experience that I was expecting. I went there to study politics and international relations. I did not learn very much from that course. That being said, I did learn a little bit, but we did classes like 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. It's nothing, you know.
How much was it? What did I pay for that? $8,000 or something?
More than that,
my gosh.
like maybe too much.
Tell
Too
them
much.
I called her.
They didn't feed us
Yeah.
very well. But that being said, it was like kind of a good experience for me. I kind of enjoyed it. It was like fun to like live on my own. I didn't like anyone there though.
But tell them on the 2 days before you ended, right before it ended, I called you and said, ask all the kids if they think it was worth what their parents paid.
Oh, nobody agreed that camp was worth it. Not a single kid. Not the ones who were selling weed and vape.
Why did they disagree? Because the education was poor?
Because the education was horrible and there was no control in that school. And the counselors knew what was happening, but they were like, okay, if we don't catch you, it doesn't matter. They said that to us.
Headline this.
They said to us, if we don't catch you, you can do whatever you want. You know, the kids, they loved being wild and like free and doing whatever they want, but they did not agree that it was worth their parents' money and they thought it was a waste. And none of them, or at least like 90% of them, are not going to go back next year. So, I mean, it was a waste of money and probably a waste of time, but you know, experience.
Is there any part of you that wants to have that sort of teenage experience?
There is no part of me that I do not believe that I would enjoy that. I've never been the kind of person who's liked to go to parties. I've never liked to, and this actually reminds me of a good point. That school that I was going to, Miami Country Day, one of the best schools in Miami. You know, Shakira's kids go there, I think. J-Lo's kids, I think, go there. I'm not sure. I know Shakira's kids go there. And it is known by the alumni of the school, and it is known by people my age who are aware of the schools in Miami that school is a very druggy school. And there's a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, like especially when it gets up to like high school and stuff. And there's also like a lot of rampant bullying there. It's the weirdest thing. You wouldn't think, you know, you think nice school, okay, they're gonna keep it controlled, they're gonna keep it regulated, keep the kids in line. No, kids do whatever they want. I really like to be in control. I really like to be at like cause point of whatever I do. I don't think any part of me would like to go drinking or to do drugs, and I've never done any of that kind of stuff. And I have no interest in ever trying it, to be honest.
What do you want to do
In life?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I know I definitely like am interested in real estate, and I do want to, at this point, do what my dad's doing and help him with that, and maybe eventually take it over one day. You know, I had a little dream to run away to West Virginia randomly.
Why
one day.
West Virginia?
No, I don't know. I think I read it in a book.
Okay.
I think I read about it in a book, and open an ice cream shop and sell ice cream. But I realize now that that's not only unrealistic, but also, why would I do that?
Ice cream could be a big business, though.
Ice cream could be very
Yeah,
fun.
if
Maybe
you open a
I
franchise.
could be like the next Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, no, ice cream would be very fun, and I've always had a lot of.
like ice cream.
I don't even really like ice cream, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I
But
really.
do you still think about it ever or no?
No, not at all. No, it was a 2-month thing. Don't know what was up
She's
with
getting
that.
ready to get a car, though. That's a big.
Oh yeah, I am getting ready to get a car.
Oh, what's the car?
I'm trying to sell it to them.
If
You
it was a
know,
vintage Bronco, dude, she would be over.
A
I would be
vintage
over the
Bronco?
moon.
Here's the deal.
The ones without airbags?
yes.
Yeah, but here's
No doors on the side, no
Yes.
roof?
So look, I don't want it to be like a super nice car. I don't want it to be like a snobby car. I just want it to be something I can get around in.
Sure.
But I also don't want it to be like end of the line, like horrible, like should not even be driven kind of car. Because like, you know, our family does have money, and I do feel like I do like help and exchange with my parents. And I feel like having like a
I see what
mid-range
you're gonna
car.
Sales is
Okay.
coming.
I feel
right, I'm waiting- I'm waiting for the
I feel
pitch
like having
here,
a
okay.
mid-range car would be appropriate.
Like, what is a
Therefore, what's
mid-range
a-
car?
No, but the point here is the thing she worries about more is like if she got something really nice, she's like, do not give me something really nice.
I want something a little bit.
Give us like some
So give us,
examples of that.
yeah, some cars. Like the perfect car, a realistic car,
Like
and
a
then like
CRV, something like a new, Honda CRV.
maybe something safe. I want definitely not a sedan. I don't like
Really?
being low to the ground.
Okay.
Also, like accidents, you can get injured a lot more easily. Also, I'm not planning on getting in any accidents, so I could. Get
I'm
a
gonna
sedan.
say an Audi Q6.
Actually, I have been
Yeah.
told that. I have been told that Audi Q. I have. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. What kind of car should I get?
Sabrina get?
What kind of car should I get? Let me know. I'm trying to sell
Now-
it to them as like a family car.
Sure.
A Lexus, like a SUV. A Lexus SUV is a great
But
car.
now I'm curious about like running alone and driving alone. Couldn't there also be someone like just like tailing a car or something like that? Like where do you draw the line at that point?
I mean, look, at some point we just gotta, can't always be with them. At some point it's just paranoia. No, nobody's gonna do anything. She knows how to protect herself.
Yeah.
We're doing another class this year, so,
Yeah.
there's other things that can be done.
So do you have a car picked out? Like
No, not
no? Okay.
No, but I'm really excited.
She's been driving since she was like 12.
Have you really?
Yeah, like in parking lots and like with our cars and,
once
stuff.
down the-
And once down the PCH.
Are you serious?
No, or yes, I
Oh.
am serious. Sorry, I am serious. I'm like,
Are you not nervous of just like down PCH? There's a lot of cars,
it
a
was
lot of
really
traffic. You
early
have
in the morning.
bicyclists.
It
There's
was
a bluff,
really
too.
early in the morning.
Yeah,
So nobody
okay.
was really out yet. And
What car was it?
Escalade.
an Escalade.
Oh yeah, big car. Okay.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a very
But look,
fun
man,
Yeah.
experience.
like some of this, like
Yeah.
when we were kids, when I was a kid, if you lived on a farm, you'd be driving by now.
Right.
Like a lot of these rules and regulations are they're stymieing kids to even experience life, right?
Right.
So like she can communicate. When we were raising her, we were like, hey, there's no strangers in our life. Okay, like you can meet everybody. Now, you have to also keep two eyes open for bad people. Like there's bad people, and you have to keep. But most people are not bad people, and most people are not strangers or below you or above you. They are people that you should communicate with and be excited about meeting and get to know and introduce yourself and have a conversation with. But you have to have two eyes open for somebody that has bad intentions and maybe is evil or unconscious.
How do you spot that?
Well, there's courses on it how to do that,
But for the average person who's watching this right now and they're just like, what can I look for? What's a telltale sign?
like
Trust your knowingness.
yeah, trust your knowingness. Trust
Okay.
what you know. You don't feel good.
So intuition.
Yeah, and how's this person? What time of day is it? If I'm meeting you at 2:00 in the afternoon, it's different than if I'm meeting you at 2:00 in the morning. So keep yourself out of situations that are dangerous. Jamie Foxx invited me to a birthday party he had once, and I said, "Okay, guys, when is it?" And they said 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, I ain't going to that. And they're like, "Why not?" I said, "Because it's at 3:00 in the morning. Nothing good happens at 3:00 in the morning." So that's people need to make sure they're in a good, strong place. Before I'm worried about you, I need to worry about me, make sure I know, I'm aware, I'm conscious, I'm not drunk, I'm not smoking weed, that I can make good decisions.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of like hypomania?
No.
So it's a term that Ty Lopez says.
Your favorite person.
And
Tie. I call him tie.
Tie. Yeah, he'll like that, I bet. Yeah. And it describes someone who has like excessive levels of energy. And like early in the morning, they're like right out of bed, you know, ready to take on the day, all the way until the time where they go to bed. And they don't need very much sleep to function, like 5-6 hours. Would you say that this is a trait that you have?
I get 8 hours of sleep a day.
It seems like you're pretty energetic.
Okay.
Which is good. It's a good thing because it's a trait that you can see.
And what's it called? Hypomania?
Hypomania. It's a trait that you can see disproportionately in like the ultra wealthy and successful people.
Oh yeah.
They're very much go.
Yeah,
They're always doing
like
something.
Vivek, when we were talking to him, he said he probably has hypomania as well as his mother.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have any manias. I think I'm focused. I think I have intention. You know, I know there's certain targets I want to hit daily, weekly, monthly, and in my lifetime. And that's what I'm focused on. So unfortunately, a lot of times, you know, like that old stigma of work addiction or
workaholism or work.
See, we are a compulsive obsessive or obsessive. If you want a clean environment, you're OCD or something. All the things that would suggest something. Overachiever is a problem.
Yeah.
Like I want to be an overachiever. I hope she's an overachiever. That'll be up to her. But I want a clean environment. I don't like stuff all over the place. I would never tolerate this. Never.
That's Jack.
Okay.
That was no.
Whatever. It's unacceptable. You should take a shot of it. You know,
we will.
We'll show your audience what I'm looking at.
It is pretty messy. Yeah.
Because to me, there should be order. So if I'm hiring somebody, I want to know, am I hiring the right person? Because the interview is bullshit. But how do they take care of their car? How do they dress? When did they show up? Did they show up on time? When I ask them to, hey man, pass my phone back to me, do they say why? Or they just pass the phone back? See, that's a good guy. You can duplicate an order. Yeah. So there's just little tricks you can do to hack who is the person across from you.
Yeah. I am curious, before we wrap this up, health-wise, you're in incredible shape.
Thank you.
You seem to be aging backwards.
Oh, good.
How do you do this? And you have 0 wrinkles on your forehead is another thing.
Has to be Botox.
No, I do have wrinkles. Look at my wrinkles.
No, you don't. I have more wrinkles than you do.
It has to. I have more wrinkles than you. Yeah, I'm less than half your age.
I don't think so, man.
It has to. Is it Botox?
I got 65 years of life on this face.
How do you do it?
Is it Botox?
One is my face is I have this face that can handle a lot of beating up. Okay, if you see this scar right here?
Yeah.
See that? You see these over the eyes? Both those are scars right there. You can't see them?
Why'd you
No, I don't really.
Those are 76 stitches in my head and face. So my face is very like that.
Why did you need 76 stitches?
Because I got pistol whipped with a gun.
Pistol whipped?
Yeah, when I was 23.
So someone hit you with
Somebody took the front of a 45 caliber, jammed it in here, right here, okay, where your things go, and jam that in there, and then you see this big raised bump on my head right here, and then cut me with the back of the gun on over both my eyes, and then my mouth.
How did he cut you with the back of the pistol? Why, were you like constrained or something?
Yes, 100% I was constrained.
Really?
Yeah.
How is this inappropriate to talk about? But I'm very curious. Like, how did you get put in this situation?
When you hang around with the wrong people.
So they tied you up or something?
No, they didn't tie me up.
They're holding you or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway,
but that doesn't explain how do you that we have more wrinkles than you do.
Well, I don't think you have more wrinkles than I do.
But that
okay.
And they stay a little bit now.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about doing Botox.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the wrinkles.
Well, do whatever you got to do to feel good about yourself. Just don't get beat up in the process. So that's what I would recommend.
I stay away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing is 10X Health. Like you you see this blue water right here?
Yeah, the Fiji.
No, you see the blue?
Yeah, I noticed there's a blue tint to it.
I do everything I can, man.
What is that?
We're working on this ingredient right now. I don't want to announce it yet because I'm not ready, but.
We also don't want to promote it just in case.
Just not yet. So I'm working on.
So you're the
project.
guinea pig.
So yeah, I bought a company called Streamline. You might have seen Gary Brecka on it. He'd be a good guy to be on the show.
Oh, I would like to have him on. Yeah.
And Gary was taking care of me maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We ended up buying his company, and we just blew that company up. He did some stuff with Dana White, a whole bunch of celebrities that we're working with now. Check out, see how Steve Harvey's doing. Look, Steve looks better than he's ever looked. So anyway, we're using some alternative health care to take care of people, and I'm the first one that jumps on that stuff and try it, use it, see if it can stop or slow down aging. And but it's back to this thing about, man, what can I do to feed the machine so that it operates
How often are you working out?
every day?
How do you do it when you travel?
I
though?
didn't today.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Got to
yeah.
push you guys around a little bit.
Yeah, I need it.
You know?
I've been going, but I could certainly be better. And this has been my first Frappuccino thing in like
Yeah.
3-4 years.
So like I broke this shoulder, February? And 3 guys wanted to do surgery on it. I said, no, I'll fix it myself. I'll handle it in the gym. And now I'm back to using it. You know, I can do this, man. I couldn't do this. For the first, from February till July, I couldn't do that. I didn't have to put the screws or the metal or the bolts in my arm.
Yeah.
Would you say you feel financially secure?
Do I feel fine? Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I can't spend the money I have. It's impossible. I would have to be like, I don't think that I could get rid of it if I wanted to.
So you feel it's more coming from a place of like abundance than scarcity.
Well, there's still things I can't do. So that there's a level of scarcity because there's some things I can't do that I'd like to do.
Do you worry about the statistic that after 3 generations, most wealth has gone away?
Yeah.
And how do you prevent something like that? Like what
just worry
values will you instill?
I just worry about the next generation. Like, let me get this one done. My job's not done. And then I don't know that they're even interested in the game. If they're not interested in the game,
It seems like it.
they don't get the game.
Yeah.
Well, she is today, but
Yeah.
today she says, but I don't, who knows? I mean,
Sure.
who knows any of this, right? So, but it doesn't mean they get it. The person that's going to be most qualified and wants it the most is going to get it. They've had a good ride already.
Yeah. I kind of want it. So maybe I could throw my name into the hat.
Sure, man. You're good, dude.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Jack?
I think that's good. Yeah, we don't want to hold you guys too long.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
you
I'm
have
worried
to
about it.
hop
I
on the
appreciate you
jet.
guys.
Yeah, I want to be.
Thank you so much for
respectful.
coming on. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
That
This was completely unexpected.
Surprise star.
Yeah.
That was great.
You know what? How about this? We'll end it on this. What are the values that you think all parents should be instilling in their children?
I would just say, first of all, I don't want to give parental advice to anybody because I know how personal that is. I would tell you that pulling the kids out of the school system has been, I will look back and say that was the best thing we could do. And everybody said, oh my God, they're not going to be socialized. They're not going to know how to talk to people. Oh, they're going to miss so much. I'm like, I hope so. I want them to miss all that. And so right now it's working out good. Number 2 thing I would say, you got to spend more time with your kids. And if they're at school all day and you're at work all day, and when they come home, you're tired, you're not spending really quality time with them. So I would say that. And then, I mean, what other advice would I give kids? Parents, stop using drugs at home. Don't drink around your kids. And be successful and take care of yourself. If you're going to feed them Cheerios and you're going to eat Cheerios, you guys are both going to be obese. We have the highest obesity on planet Earth. The highest obesity is one of America's great products now. Obesity, the highest population of people that are prescribed drugs live in this country. We consume more prescription medication in this country than every other country combined on planet Earth. So we have the fattest people, we have the most medicated people, and we have a society that has the most guns. And I believe in the guns. I just don't believe in the first 2 because the people with the guns aren't going to be able to use them because they're too fat to get to their gun and or they're too medicated to get to it. So that's my only advice. You got any advice, Jan?
Any advice to parents?
Kids, give the advice
Okay,
to the
kids. Let's see. I don't know. Be disciplined. It's like hard. Like you don't want to go to school. You just got to make yourself do it sometimes. Like I've learned a lot from having to have my homeschool program and having to have to do it tonight and not be able to put it off to tomorrow. Have to do this. Have to do that. Have to help out. Have to do blah 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 blah. I've learned a lot from that. So be disciplined and make yourself do stuff. Like I think that will probably be when I'm like an adult and stuff. That will probably be one of the greatest lessons that I ever learned. So just learn how to be disciplined.
I think you should do more of this. Popping on podcasts if your dad is speaking on stage.
Popping on and popping off.
Yeah.
Popping off.
Really?
Well, I do
Yeah.
speaking.
Oh, you do?
I've spoken
cool.
to 34,000 people when I was 9.
Really?
When I was 9 years old. I spoke
Was
to...
that at 10X
Yeah.
event? Oh, okay.
I spoke to 10,000 people in Mandalay Bay, and that speech got, I think, like 8 million views.
Really?
In any video.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I do speaking publicly, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy it. Like, it's like one of the fun factors in my
Yeah.
life.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your
Thank you,
time
guys.
today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate what you're doing too.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Thanks for hopping on. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me come on.
Oh, that was great.
We loved it. Yeah. Sorry to keep you a little late.
Long interviews, man.